doing it live. RotoGrinders here. Dean 7 out of 4 if you want to get all technical. Right now, it's the start of 2+ hours of nonstop MLB DFS conversation. It is it's 2/3 of the People's Show, right? The Sunday morning People's Show.
The People's Show.
9:30.
100% the People's Show.
You've coined it that, and I'm running with it. I'm good calling it the People's Show. Myself and Bobby Gomes, of course, Tasteful Tides 10. We start off the Sunday show at 9:30 in the morning. Question for you, Bobby. It might be awkward because TJ is on the Crunch Time show on Sunday, right?
Yep.
Is it the People's Show from 9:30 all the way up to and through Crunch Time, or does the People's Show stop? Like when SquirrelPatrol when is it not the People's Show, or is it always the People's Show?
We're a team, Dean, so it's always the People's Show. We kick off the People's Show.
So you're saying TJ? I said 2/3 of the People's Show. You're saying TJ is actually
TJ
on?
would be included. I'm inclusive, Dean. I'm all about inclusivity. I don't know about you. I don't know where you stand on that map, but like RG show, RotoGrinders show, we're the People's Show, you know?
All right, well, fair enough. TJ, I guess TJ, you're a part of the People's Show as well too. Congratulations. Did you know this?
Yeah, I'm running anchor. You guys are running lead. I'm running anchor, taking it home right until lock. I feel like we had a pretty great show on Sunday. Dre and Christy were lights out. I did a good job of hosting, but did my DFS lineups were not it this weekend. Definitely had a tough week 1 of football, but week 2 and 3 have typically been my big weeks in the past. So a week 1 loss was expected. It's week 2 and 3 where we bounce back and do big things.
Shout out to one of us at least did pretty well. I'm right there with you, TJ. I made some poor decisions. Mistakes were made, but I know Bobby had himself a big week 1. So you got to keep that momentum going, Bobby. We have to, I don't know, by osmosis, how does that work? You got to help, give us some good mojo. Myself and TJ, we're going to need it for week number 2. Cannot wait already. I was doing some NFL content earlier today, and it's going to be interesting to see. Some potential.
Wait a minute.
Yeah,
you were doing NFL content earlier today for this Sunday.
Yeah, I write this early week article. Like it's I think it's to try to like hit keywords like in the Google search or something like that regarding injuries. I'm talking about injuries on a Tuesday.
What happened? What injuries happened that
what's
you
it called? Body parts?
It's not called body parts. The mistakes were made again. Eckler, he's dealing with a bit. He's probably going to be fine. Aaron Jones is probably going to be fine. I know you played. The Aaron Rodgers thing. I don't know if we're going to need a cheap quarterback, but you got a cheap quarterback at 4.9 going into the week. But again, I don't know if you need that this week. Probably not this time of year. But the interesting one that I thought was, Isaiah Likely, because he was so terrible, is still 3-2. Like if Andrews doesn't play, I'm going to go back to Likely. I don't care. I'll double down. I'll bet in that talent. The one, I think you took a big stand on this, TJ. And we'll talk baseball in a second. Our apologies. I promise we'll knock it all out. 9-gamer on Fanduel, 10-gamer on DK. Crunch time comes in. Still, we have over an hour until I believe it's DerekCarty, CEO of the Bat and the Blitz, and SquirrelPatrol. I'm pretty sure that's also chief meteorologist Kevin Roth. Shout out to Roth, by the way, nailing the weather yesterday, getting us away from Boston and New York, essentially telling us that that game is not going to go. But you, TJ, you were hyping up the running back for Indy last week, and I think he had 13 rushes, 14 yards, and 2 lost fumbles. What a stone disaster he was. And the backup, Evan Hull, got injured. He has a knee. He's probably not going to play. And it seems like there's a pretty good chance Moss comes back. And Zach Moss might come back and step into the RB1 role at 4.7 on DK at Houston. So there's something to monitor.
Yeah, I'll play Deion Jackson and Zach Moss both again if they're playing. But yeah, that was a pretty devastating week with Jackson losing 2 fumbles. He got the usage.
Yeah.
I was expecting, but lost 2 fumbles, got tackled at the 1. Eckler got tackled at the 1, and Kelly rushed it in. Keenan Allen got tackled at the 1, and then Donald Parham scored a touchdown. So yeah, that was a disappointing couple plays in a row there, but we're on to next week. We're on to today's baseball slate.
Yeah. The last one is the Baltimore. Obviously Dobbins getting hurt, devastating injury on Sunday. I wished I said let's please have no injuries, and despite my best wishes, they were not granted. We did terrible for Dobbins. What's that, Bobby?
So you mushed New York, is what you're basically saying.
It's
No.
Dean's fault that
Entire state of New
tore his
York.
Achilles.
Any injury that happens is my fault, just going forward indefinitely.
Every injury that happens is your fault, Dean. Of course.
When you say that, yes.
When you say that, you're just putting yourself out there for it.
When I say I hope nobody gets hurt, all the injuries are my fault.
Yes,
I just want to make sure I'm hearing that correctly.
It's a reverse thing, you know.
Okay.
Oh, I hope no one gets hurt today in the NFL, where people get hurt like basically 30% of the time on a Sunday. I don't know.
I hope everybody gets hurt.
Run bets hit today.
Hey, you have something that's playing right now?
No, just today. I hope none of them hit tonight.
You know, I'm not one to toot my own horn. That's frowned upon, and I think it's just like it shows it's a character flaw. It's not something I would do. But if I was that guy, I would point out that the Dongs, despite Bobby's best efforts, they do not stop. We hit 3 more last night. We were 2 for 3. Machado hit 2 homers, and I know TJ is going to give me the business as far as Christopher Morel, but he was kind of a gimme. But still, it's not likely he homers. He's not supposed to homer. So we had 3 in total. I'll tell you what. I don't know if there's a scoreboard or not, TJ, but Spidey better there's no rearview mirror anymore with Spidey. Spidey's looking ahead. He's looking in front of him because I've taken down Spidey, and if we're gonna look in the last month or so, I feel like I've taken him down. We're challenging him tonight. How about that?
It's a good thing in baseball we don't just look at the last month or so, because that is far too small of a sample size for anything other than getting lucky. And so we got to look over the course of the whole season. And so, no, the Spidey Bums are not looking in the rear view mirror. But if you want to go toe to toe tonight, Dongs versus Spidey Bums, I'll
dong be dong,
dong for dong every 50 likes.
I wasn't even playing at the start of the season, so Spidey by default was beating me, and then eventually I said,
the best ability is availability, Dean.
Yeah, well, and then we have that running back for Indianapolis, and maybe that's not the case because he was horrendous. I was told running backs don't matter. Yeah, well, we're gonna have a good time with that. How did Spidey do last night? You were on air last night, right? I believe you gave some Spidey Bums. I don't remember how they did. I'm not being a jerk.
I don't even remember if I was on yesterday.
I think you might have just been in the chat commenting. That's possible too. Maybe you weren't actually on a show.
No, I was at Cheese yesterday.
It all blends together. It's amazing. You just completely
really
forget.
I don't know. Ever since I stopped teaching, I could not tell you what day of the week it is ever, except Tuesdays and Sundays. And Sundays, it's because it's NFL football. Tuesdays, because it's new episodes of Ahsoka.
There you go. All right. Tonight's slate is kind of, sort of, somewhat like last night's slate to some degree. The Cubs are still in Coors Field. They still have a total of 7. They're going to be super popular. Chris Flexen's pretty terrible. He's not very good. No Cubs lineup just yet. We're probably going to get the debut of Pete Crow Armstrong, who I think he pinch ran or something last night. I believe he got in the game last night. Did not start, but we're expecting the Uber prospect here. Now, he's no longer 2K on DK, but he is still really cheap. He's going to be reasonably popular. I'm curious where he lands in the lineup. 3K on DK, 2-4 on Fanduel. We have several really good pitchers. Salary is a thing as well. Bobby, before we kind of break down and talk about pitching and talk about the most popular guys according to Lineup HQ as of 4:57 on the East Coast, give me your screenshot. What are you seeing as far as tonight's slate? And it is worth noting, FanDuel is not including the Game 2 of Yankees-Boston. DK is. Neither site is acknowledging Kansas City playing the White Sox. So just throwing that out there for the people. Go ahead.
For slate, you kind of everything you hit on. Pitching's good. I'm going to be pretty condensed at pitcher. And yeah, just trying to get to these scores bats. I don't mind Chicago. The team total 7.19. It's pretty good. So yeah, I don't know. I guess you can play them differently if you want. You can play them as basically a secondary stack. It's a big slate, so maybe they don't get there. But like you said, Flexen isn't fantastic. He's been kind of terrible. So I don't know. Thinking through it as we go. Looking forward to hearing your thoughts, Dean. Hearing your dong thoughts. Implementing that now more into my process. I try to mush them every day, and it just doesn't work for me. So now I'm going to go on the other side of it and root for them.
Yep. Okay. Then you're going to mush me if I go over 3. Then I can call you up for mushing. The same rule applies. Me saying I prefer no injuries. And
I
injuries
can't
happen.
mush you the other way, so I have to go. I have to start rooting for them and see what happens.
There you go. Come aboard. We'll see.
I
And
mean, we're competing. We're going head to head, so that means you're rooting against me.
It's like a dong sword fight. I'm rooting. I'm rooting against you tonight, TJ. Yep.
If I win this dong battle, I want to be compensated in some way, and so
what sort of comments? The satisfaction's not worth enough. Like you need actual
the satisfaction's usually worth enough, but Bobby's been really hot, and my NFL week 1 went poorly. So if I win the dong battle, Dean or Bobby's gonna stake me for week 2 of NFL. I think that's how it works. But Dean, we're only 8 likes away from 50.
What's a state? What I have to
I'm just messing around. Don't I gotta keep up my charade of fake asking people for money, but then never actually accepting the money, because then that gets shady, and I gotta allow Dean to keep giving me a hard time for it. But anyways,
Bobby will stake you in the quarter arcade. I'm not to speak for Bobby, but he might be willing to do that.
I'll stake you in the quarter arcade.
Can you PayPal me 25 cents? But Dean, we're 2 likes away from 50. It's the first dong/bomb showdown. Are you ready for your first Dean Dong?
So normally now because typically I like to they come to me organically. I never really know when it's going to hit me during the show. Typically they hit me as crunch time starts. So I kind of put them in the chat for crunch time. But okay, I wasn't prepared to unleash one within seconds, but I'm sure I can come up with one on the fly. And let's try to be a little bit more ambitious. You know what I mean? Let's try to be ambitious to some degree.
If you weren't going to be ambitious, I was going to lead it off with Cody Bellinger, just because he's it's obviously a great play, and Cody Bellinger, actually, for what it's worth, I do think people should bet on Cody Bellinger to hit a home run today, because you can get him for plus 390 on both DraftKings, or on plus 425 he's up to on DraftKings.
That's actually a pretty good number. I think that's
Cody
pretty solid.
Bellinger
I agree
for
with
plus 425 is actually great today, but no, I won't go Bellinger and Coors. I'm not gutless like Dean is on that one. But I am going to go with somebody who, because it's the first one, we get sneakier as we go. I am going to go with somebody who was the same as yesterday, actually, who didn't hit. But we always love this guy to hit a home run. It's Pete Alonso.
Oh, that's funny. I was thinking about the polar bear, but I like that game. That's my pivot away from Chicago. And I will throw one of my dongs out there for sure. Not Pete Alonso, not the polar bear, but the other first baseman in that game. I'll take Christian Walker. I don't know what his odds are currently. Anything interesting as far as the odds for either one of those two? Are you betting Alonso odds-wise, or you just think he's going to homer in that stat?
I have bet Alonso odds-wise. I don't mind him for plus 330 on Fanduel. Walker has fantastic odds today. You can get him for plus 520 over on Fanduel. Earlier in the day, I did get Alonso for plus 390, so I liked that quite a bit.
What do you think? About Bobby? You want to do some quick evaluation? Oh, you want to play? You want to play too? You can play.
I want
Jump
to
in the pool.
too, yeah. Any good odds on Corbin Carroll?
Let's see. What do we got here? Pivoting. A good time to plug. Check out Scores and Odds, because that's where I find all of this stuff so quickly, and compare them, and then get my home run bets in. So Corbin Carroll today, we got plus 525 on Bet365, plus 500 on DraftKings. So that'd be probably the best to get a big bet in. Plus 500 on DraftKings.
All right.
That's your guy? I like it too.
It's my guy, yeah.
Odds are pretty solid.
Bobby's Bangers.
Yeah. Well, you do that.
Is that what we're going with?
Yeah.
We workshopping it, or is that it? We're married to bangers.
I like that. I like bangers.
Every 50 likes, we got a dong, a bomb, and a banger.
They're like rock, paper, scissors. Like, which one beats what? Like, the dong beats, a banger, but
bomb definitely
beats a dong.
I know that. Banger can beat bomb.
All right. This is what happens in this month 6 of the baseball season. If the chat has any other, I don't know if we're fully married to bangers, but maybe any other options you could throw up at Bobby.
Bobby plus Tim equals bangers and mash from Derek.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's really good. Yeah. Where's yeah. Wait, oh yeah, Matt, yeah, because the taters. Okay, it took me a second.
Yeah,
I was thinking
potatoes.
Chat seems to like bangers.
Yeah. There you go.
There you go.
Chris says Walker 100% dong. So there you go. Chris is with me as far as Walker. Is that game going to be kind of popular? It's a big total for that ballpark. It's 9.5. I actually, for scores and odds, I wrote up the over in that game, which is a little bit, you got the gutless Mets. That ballpark kind of stinks, but I really want to pick on both those pitchers. It's actually pretty good weather, I want to say, from Weather Edge. Do you happen to have that pulled up by chance, TJ? I feel like that's something you have on the fly. I just got to it. Unless things have changed early in the day. Yeah. So we're getting a pretty big sample, 123 previous games of similar weather in New York. A bump of homers at 14%, a bump in runs at 8%, 76 degrees, 66 is the dew point. Wind is blowing out 8 miles per hour to left center. And we're talking pitchers right now, but typically we don't get a number that high. But, Buto has been a disaster. Ryan Nelson, pitchers that have thrown 130 innings on the season or more. He's got the third worst Sierra in baseball as well. I really like the offenses in that game. Do you have a thought on that, Bobby? I know we're talking. It's kind of just popped up, so let's talk about it. Arizona, New York. Are we in or are we out?
I'm in. Like Corbin Carroll, Christian Walker, Alonso. We're kind of basically giving the blueprint here of where we're going. Unless you have other thoughts, I think it's a pretty good game to target for power. Yeah, I don't know if it's obviously it's at Citi Field. It isn't the greatest home run park. I don't know. I think that, but comparatively to other spots, it's not the greatest for weather. But I think you could go there. So I'm not shying away from it at all.
In the expert survey today, I was writing up about the Diamondbacks, and so Jose Buto, if you're not aware of his existence or you don't know much about him, just leave off the O in his last name, and you'll know how he's pitched this season. He's got a 5.93 AAA stat. We don't care about ERA so much, but 5.93 ERA, 25 years old, throwing against 20-year-olds and 21-year-olds and 22-year-olds. His K rate is terrible, 19.8%. His walk rate, 11.8%. Too many homers, 1.68%. 1.68 per 9. The ERA so far in the major leagues has been pretty good, 3.86. But his Sierra is at 6 because he's got an egregious 16% walk rate. He's been really lucky. He was not promoted because he was good. It's just the Mets don't care, and they're just playing out the string. And I think he gets exposed. I was bummed that what's the guy's name? Lawler is not playing for Arizona, the cheapy shortstop. He's not starting, but kind of, I was hoping he would be somebody that we can use today, but unfortunately not grabbing the start. If you had a thought on that, TJ, by all means, go for it. Otherwise, give me your screenshot when it comes to today's slate.
Yeah, I'm only running out one lineup today just because I got a busy evening ahead of me today, busy day tomorrow, and then I'm off to Edmonton for the Edmonton Expo the next day. But I cut the pool down to what it would be ish if I was playing 150 today, and it's about 9 guys. There are a couple cheapies I don't mind taking some shots on, but I think my priority would be trying to get all the way up to Peralta or Joe Ryan in the mid tier. But I really don't hate the idea. I don't love a super chalky Brian Wu today. That kind of scares me at that ownership. But I don't hate the idea of taking shots on somebody like a Zach Littell in the cheap range to pivot off of them at super low ownership today.
The issue is that there are issues with Wu and Littell. The main ones, I think, is kind of their pitch count to some degree. Both are projected for 85 pitches, but there's a little bit of fragility to that. Littell is what is cheaper. But yeah, I think both those guys are certainly in play. It's interesting ownership-wise. Kind of surprised to see Wu getting 31% at 7.9 and Littell getting 3% at 6.7. That is, I think that's going to adjust. Maybe you're with me. You tell me, Bobby. I think Littell is going to get higher than 2-3%. I think maybe Wu comes down a little bit and some of that ownership goes to Littell. He's been pretty good. Minnesota, some power, but also they strike out a fair bit too. You have a thought on that?
No, I think you're correct. He's a righty versus Minnesota. It's a really good spot, obviously. I think Wu, I have similar feelings to TJ with Wu. I think Wu could likely be bad chalk. He'll be in my player pool, but I could definitely see Littell gaining ownership. I don't mind Sandoval. He's right there in terms of price. think Sandoval's like 400 cheaper, so he's someone I'm considering as a pivot. But yeah, I could definitely see Littell getting steamed up a little bit here for what it's worth.
What about the elite pitchers here, Bobby? Ownership-wise, as far as the elite pitchers, it's hard to get, all the big bats and get yourself Freddie Peralta. Peralta, the most expensive arm on the slate at 11.8 on DK. He's grabbing 25%. A little bit down there is Justin Verlander at 10.7. Not what he once was, but still all right. And he's facing a terrible Oakland team. He's getting 40%, which is a pretty big number. And then Wu at 7.9 between them at 32%. Joe Ryan, also a pretty solid pitcher. Certainly has had his moments, 15%, 9.5. I guess we can cut it off from those four. You mentioned Wu. Have Verlander, Peralta, and Ryan join the conversation. Any big stands there as far as ownership-wise?
So, yeah, for up top, it's probably for me going to be Joe Ryan. I'm flip-flopped with TJ, and then probably Peralta, and then Verlander. That's kind of how I have them ranked currently.
How about yourself, TJ? How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I'm all for that. On FanDuel, for me, it'd be Peralta, Verlander, Ryan. But on DraftKings, it's the other way around. It's sorry, I got it mixed up here. It's Joe Ryan 1, Peralta 2, Verlander 3.
I got our consensus rankings too. I can pull that up as well. Myself and Dave Potts is good. SquirrelPatrol, he'll be on in a bit. He also jumped in here. And Kirk D's, consensus-wise, this is DK. We got Peralta 1, Ryan 2, Verlander 3, Wu 4. So, yeah, it's the same four pitchers, kind of a different shuffle. And on FanDuel, I'm going to guess we have Peralta number 1, where he's a little bit easier to make work at 10.5. Yeah, he's number 1 across the board, basically. Verlander 2, Ryan 3. Scherzer ahead of Wu. Scherzer throwing baseballs on this slate as well. All right, by the way, the early game for New York and Boston, I was trying to see if anything interesting happened that may affect the night game. New York won 3-2. Catching-wise, Higashioka and McGuire, so they probably don't start unless they DH for whatever reason. Devers finally homered. I feel like he was sitting on 29 homers for a long time. I think that's number 30 for him, unless I missed one yesterday. Yankees won 3-2. What pretty uneventful game. All right. And again, that game is not on FanDuel, but it is on DK. And Cutter Crawford, is he somebody? So feud-wise, you mentioned it, TJ, as far as what will be in your pool. Obviously, you're only making one lineup. So, you can't have 9 pitchers in your pool. You have 2, and you're going all in with them. But you did like a hypothetical pool. Is that what you kind of referenced there?
Yeah, and there's currently 2 guys in the hypothetical pool I think probably wouldn't have even make it. But Crawford would be somebody that I would take some shots on just because of that cheap price tag. We've seen upside from him before. New York strikes out a lot. I would probably be taking some shots on Crawford in 150, but wouldn't be considering him in single entry.
What do you got, Bobby, as far as Crawford? And what are you doing? Are you making a bunch of lineups tonight? Just a couple for you? What's the plan? Have you figured it out just yet, or we're still kind of figuring out what we're doing lineup-wise?
I have 150 built, but probably going to shorten that in terms of what I'm playing. For me, Cutter Crawford is making the pool currently. Outside of that, I think he's really down low. It makes me scared to say this a little bit. Yeah, I might pitch Rodon just looking at this Red Sox lineup with no Devers.
I was just going to say the Red Sox lineup, I think, heavily puts Rodon in play, and he wasn't in my pool before.
Interesting. Yeah, I was looking at Rafaela drawing the start, and I think he's cheap leading off. But, yeah, there's 2 different ways to look at it. Do we think Rodon is broken? Is he broken? Is he not broken? Does it matter?
This Red Sox lineup's broken, so I don't think it matters.
Rafaela, Ref Snyder in the 2-hole. That's another non-regular.
No Devers.
No Devers. Story is in there, but it's not. And Story hasn't been really good this year anyway, for what it's worth. Rodon's been better. I think, let me see. Last 30 days, I guess I shouldn't say better. The K's have essentially been the same. But, theoretically, it's still in there. He was really, really good. The Yankees paid him a ton of money. And this matchup is not especially difficult. TJ, you're making a one lineup. Is Rodon in it? He's not in my one lineup. I don't think.
I haven't made it yet, but he wasn't going to be in consideration. But after seeing that lineup from Boston, I think I am now going to put him in consideration. I'm toying with the idea of doing like Zach Littell and Carlos Rodon as my two pitchers.
Loading up on hitters, obviously. Yeah, have yourself a good. You're probably gonna be playing some Cubbies and maybe some Pete Alonso. Maybe that's in your future as well.
Alonso. On that note, start prepping your dong, Dean, because we're 14 likes away from Spidey Bomb, Dean Dong, and Bobby's Banger number 2. As soon as we get to 100 likes, and we got over 360 people watching, it's been so it'll be very soon before we get there, I think. I have a question, an off-topic question for you, Dean.
I never refuse those.
I know you like diving into the video game scene every now and then. Are you an Uncharted?
Dean, you're a gamer.
I mean, I don't like to talk about it, just like the dongs. When I don't like to talk about it. I don't like to tout myself. On occasion, I'll play a little bit. I'm looking forward to the new hockey game that comes out next month. But there's no game I'm playing right now, so I'm looking for a game. You mentioned Uncharted.
Guy? Have you played Uncharted at all?
I played, so I have that, what is it, the PlayStation PS Plus or whatever, where you get like all access to 1,000 games for like $20 a month, whatever it is. And that was on there, so I knocked them all out. And by the way, should I admit this in public? Is this embarrassing? Is there great shame on this?
Seems like you're about to admit it.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to, and because whatever, I don't really know what the rules are. And TJ, I'm derailing, you're derailing. But is it frowned upon? I don't play like the hard level for these games. Like, that's not fun to me. I just keep dying and keep dying and keep dying.
No, that is not. There's no shame in that. Have fun. You play these games to have fun. It's an escape from reality. So play out on whatever level you want it to. Typically, what I do is I'll do a run through on like the second from the second to the easiest, and then as soon as I get better at it, I'll bump it up for a second time through, something like that. But the reason I asked about Uncharted, I'm playing 2K24 Madden and replaying The Witcher right now. That's what I've been doing. But I
heard it was terrible, by the way, Madden. I heard it has like the worst reviews in the series.
I haven't been. They're just the same as they've always been, and they don't really do anything extra for me. But I'm going to be moderating my first ever like Comic-Con panel in a couple weeks here, and it's going to be the voice actor for Nathan Drake, Nolan North, is going to be, it's his panel. So I'm going to be meeting them and interviewing them in front of a bunch of people. So that's going to be, I figured I wanted to bring that up to you, because I thought you played the Uncharted games.
I saw the Uncharted movie and it was terrible.
Yeah, the movie sucked.
Wahlberg and who was the young guy?
The kid who plays Spider-Man, I think.
Yeah,
maybe.
Tom Holland.
Yeah, it wasn't very good. But I recognized some of the scenes from the game in the movie. Like, oh, yeah, I remember that in the movie. Yeah, I remember that. So they tried to duplicate it, but it wasn't spectacular. I'm guessing there's going to be no sequel as far as Uncharted, but yeah, the games were pretty fun. I enjoyed it. I do play I play it on mute sometimes. I listen to podcasts. So I don't know if I recognize the guy's voice. Is that frowned upon, TJ? Is that also, or is that okay?
No, it's fine. I don't shame other people's video game habits. I just let people enjoy themselves.
All right, fair enough. I guess I don't know why I'm looking to shame people for this is the way you should do things, and that's that. You're very clearly more open. Okay, one more thing you should shame me for. I don't have a PS5. Do I need to upgrade? Like, I thought that's like impossible to get. Can I get those now?
No, they're very
easy. Are they available
now? You can get them now, and I would get them. I think it's worth it.
Okay, I'll get one of those. There. I gotta transfer all my stuff over though. It's a whole process, right? Like
I gotta do it automatically.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just trying to think. All right, back to the slate. I saw some questions in the slate. FanDuel specifically. Big Hurt wants to know. I'll ask you, TJ. FanDuel tournament, your favorite pitcher. We're not talking stacks just yet, but give us both. Your favorite tournament pitcher on FanDuel and your favorite stack.
Favorite tournament pitcher on FanDuel, I think, is still Freddie Peralta. If I wanted to go super cheap, I think Zach Littell is in play on FanDuel as well, where he's 6,400. I think you can totally play him there. And then it's chalky, but my favorite stack is Chicago. Like they have a 7 total for a reason. I would rather try and find ways to get a little bit different stack the back half of the order, include a catcher or something like that, and just get different with my secondary stack. Cody Bellinger is currently projected for single-digit ownership on FanDuel right now just because he's so wildly expensive. Play Zach Littell, get up there, something like that. It's still Chicago for me.
Somebody in chat, Terrence, mentioning Red Dead Redemption 2. That was spectacular. That was an experience.
Interviewed the voice actor for that one too, Roger Clark.
There's a new Grand Theft Auto coming out, right?
Yeah.
You dabble in this stuff, Bobby? You just want to join the conversation?
I like NHL. It's the only video game I'll play. Outside of that, I'm an adult, Dean. I don't play video games.
That's so funny. That's like the one game you'll play. That's my favorite sports game too. Although I'm waiting for the NCAA reboot for football. I'm gonna have UCF win the national title for the second time. Once again, looking forward to that when that comes out. I believe next season it's supposed to come out, right? If they can get the NIL deals go through and all that. But it stopped many years ago because I think the O'Bannon brothers from UCLA kind of was one of the reasons why it no longer became a thing. But yeah, it's been missing for far too long. We're gonna play some NHL online, Bobby. That's gonna be fun. We'll stream it for the people.
I don't play it anymore, but it would be the only game.
Oh, well, I'm gonna get you out of retirement. How about that?
All right. We'll play.
All right. Let's see what else is going on in chat. What else should we acknowledge?
We just got we got a Cubs lineup, but we also got over 100 likes and over 400 people watching now. Let's get it up to 150 for the next set of dongs, bombs, and bangers. But my next Spidey bomb for the people, I'm going to Seattle because we got some phenomenal odds on Julio Rodriguez, the first guy you made fun of me for, but that's still not as chalky as going to the leadoff hitter at Coors like you did last night, Dean. But Julio Rodriguez.
So did Cheese.
Plus
call him out.
I wouldn't care. I only giving you the hard time because you gave it to me first. But Spidey bomb number 2, Julio Rodriguez. You can find him for plus 500 on FanDuel.
Bobby, I will yield to you. I have to come up with one on the fly.
Yeah. So Julio is mine. TJ stole him, obviously, because he got to go first. Yeah. I'm going to go Ryan McMahon to differentiate those Cub stacks in Coors. Give you a nice little bat there, 5K.
There's no got to stay away from Coors rule? I thought that was just assumed. Is that not a rule?
I thought we had to stay away from Cubs in Coors.
Okay. TJ, official ruling?
It's his own banger. He gets to make the rules.
Okay, I'm going McMahon. That's it. That works for me.
Yeah, he's touting Grand Theft Auto. Like you can't tell Bobby.
No one plays Colorado. That's the thing is people should be playing Colorado more and they don't because they just play the other side.
Well, Chris Bryant's back though. Look out.
McMahon's plus 550 or plus 450 to hit a home run on Fanduel and DraftKings, and we're currently projecting him for single-digit ownership. So I think that would be totally fine to clear as a Spidey bomb too.
Thank you, TJ. Thank you, TJ.
We did not have Morel projected to start today. He is starting. He is leading off in Coors against Flexen.
Stop stalling. Give us your thing. Give us your pick.
No, that's what he is. He is stalling. I noticed that. I knew he was going to do that.
It comes to me, and now you're trying to throw me off.
No. You have to do it all at the same time.
Hold on. I got it. Can I just consult the almanac? If I would take a second, open it to the correct page. I'm a little bit flustered over here.
Wait, that's an actual book?
Music.
It's my. I got one of the iPad. It's an iPad cover. It's kind of cool, right?
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. You always get one guy at like TSA who's like, "What is that? Is that the almanac?" It's like, yeah. Let's see. All right, I am stalling, but how about this? I'm going to throw the analysis for the Cubs starting lineup to TJ, and I'll give you the dong when we come back. Morel leading off, Horner, Happ, Bellinger, Swanson, Suzuki, Gomes, PCA, that's Pete Crow Armstrong, his first start in his career, legit stud, and then Madrigal batting ninth. Your thoughts on that, TJ? I'll get you a dong in a second.
We're probably going to see this total go up even a little bit because this was the top stack for a reason, and now their lineup is better than what we were projecting. Flexen is even worse to right-handed batters than he is lefties, and so we got Morel starting on leading off instead of Tauchman, who we had projected to start in there. So that's a stronger play, and then Yan Gomes is better than Miguel Amaya, who we now have in there at catcher. So this Cubs lineup is even stronger than what we were projecting it for.
I'm going to go off the board. I'm going to walk the plank. I'm going to feel a little bit ambitious, but I'm going to throw a lefty at Lance Lynn. Not that lefty. No, I'm not taking Juan Soto. That's the obvious one. We'll take Trent Grisham. I presume he's going to hit the starting lineup and probably bat ninth against Lance Lynn, who gives up a fair bit of homers and is especially vulnerable to lefties. What's his odds, Christian? It's got to be at least 5-1. Did that hit your threshold of ambition, TJ? You going to be okay
That
with
was
Christian?
very ambitious, Dong. Maybe I'll have to get sneaky for the final Spidey bomb here as well. We got Trent Grisham plus 600 on FanDuel. I will we'll see if I can beat those odds. The person that I was thinking about picking with my next one, I don't think there's any way he will he's going to beat those odds, so I might have to try and switch things up here.
By the way, not to derail the show again, but I was looking at the MVP stuff for the National League. And so, like, I don't know, Bobby, if you looked at this by chance, I don't want to, this is not a gotcha, but like,
No.
What would you think it is? Like, I mean, I would imagine you think it's one or two guys that's like the likely person to win the MVP. It's likely to be Acuna or Betts, right? And do you think it's close as far as the odds?
I don't think it's that close.
Yeah, it's not. Acuna is 7-1.
Yeah.
Minus 700, and Betts is plus 475. And it's like, Betts has been incredible too. Like, they both, I see in the chat they're talking about Matt Olson, who's got like 90 homers, and he's 2,000-1 or 20-1. Like, he just can't quite get there, right? Because these guys have been so much better. I just feel like it should be closer. And is there not a scenario where Betts just really, really closes insanely and finds a way to take over Acuna? I don't know, man. It's just, I feel like it should be closer, but I'm not here to say Acuna is not the MVP.
I just
They're
feel like
both.
the media is pushing Acuna. Like, I just see Acuna everywhere. Usually baseball players, you don't see too much of them. I feel like it's going to be Acuna. I don't see it being Betts.
Yeah. TJ, you have a thought on that? I mean,
I think Acuna's got it in the bag, and I think he deserves to.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Well, like, you can't tell me Betts doesn't deserve any other year. Like, Betts would. I don't know who won it last year. Who was the NL MVP last year? I don't remember top of the head for some reason, but I bet Betts' numbers are right there with that person, if not better.
Was it Freeman?
It might have been Betts. Was it Betts or was it Freeman?
Was
Who
it
won the
Betts?
NL?
Yeah, I don't know.
Do we have a machine we can type this in and just kind of like pops up the information? That would
Chat
be
GPT.
fascinating.
Yeah, I was going to say I thought it was Goldschmidt, but then I thought maybe he was 2021. But yeah, Goldschmidt was last year.
Goldschmidt was the MVP last year?
Yeah.
Wow, man. Then life comes at you fast. He's fallen off hard, that team in general. What a massive disappointment for St. Louis this season. But yeah, all right. Shout out to both Acuna and Betts. And maybe we see a 40-80 season out of Acuna, which never been done before. So yeah, certainly well-deserved. But Betts has been spectacular too. Is more kind of what I was saying, but I guess I get everybody going to Acuna. And I guess the Braves been better, the Dodgers too, record-wise. I'm pretty sure. Obviously, they're both going to make the playoffs. Other pitchers here, TJ, who else should we acknowledge the existence? We mentioned Max Scherzer in passing, and it's a bunch of righties, right, for Toronto, or bad lefties. Your Toronto Blue Jays, not as advertised. Speaking of St. Louis, they're Toronto just as disappointing. The lefties in there are what? What? Well,
Toronto's a playoff team. How are they just as disappointing as St. Louis?
Offensively, like stack-wise. But yeah, they're winning more games. Sure. You don't care about that, though, in DFS.
St. Louis is 63-81. You're not about to call them just as the Blue Jays, who are 80-64, just as disappointing.
The Blue Jays have not won a stack. Like, when was the last time the Blue Jays won a stack? Like 1972?
I don't think that's what they're rating their season based on, though.
Well,
like,
that's the
you
perspective.
can't call them equally disappointing as the Cardinals.
Equally gutless when I stacked them. There's an asterisk next to them, I suppose. It's just me. I'm sure it's a bad.
They're 100% gutless. The Blue Jays.
There you go. That's what I was waiting for.
You called them gutless on the last time they won the slate, Bobby.
I know, and I did play them because you got me onto them. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
But yeah, they were losing. I was pissed because I don't know. I had really good teams and they weren't coming along, and then they finally came along. I almost actually shipped that slate because of the Blue Jays.
Reverse mush. Also,
yeah.
the nonsense
I reverse
throwing out
mushed
there
it
today.
on Twitter.
But yes, the Blue Jays offense has been, I guess, comparable to the Cardinals. They've just had like the best defense in baseball this year, which is lucky for them.
Belt went on the IL today, so there's no Belt. Obviously, there's no Chapman. They do have Bichette. Bichette's been back, obviously. Save Springer, Bichette, Vladdy. But like your cleanup hitter today is Spencer Horwitz, who, I can walk around Toronto and 99% of Toronto residents cannot pick him out of a lineup. Spencer Horwitz. And Davis Schneider. I mean, I know he's been good, but come on. It's soon it's going to hit midnight on him.
Davis Schneider could walk past me in the street and I wouldn't know who he was.
He's like,
fair, but also there's so many different people. It's like there's 80% of baseball, 95% of baseball.
That is true.
players can
It's
walk
every
by me on
baseball
the
player you can
street.
say that about. Yeah.
they do such a bad job marketing their players.
But they didn't do a bad job marketing Acuna, and that's why he's so far ahead in terms of these odds. I feel like Acuna's name's been everywhere.
Is it East Coast bias? Is that what you're saying? Is that what's going on?
Possibly, yeah.
Biggio, Varsho's been. I know people love. They want to hear about my season-long team. Good Lord, I finally cut him. I couldn't take it anymore. What a disaster he's been. Kiermaier, good defensive player. Heineman. There's a lot of lefties, so I guess that's how you attack Scherzer. But Heineman is not great. Is Kirk hurt also? Alejandro Kirk, is he dinged?
I just don't think he starts all the time.
Okay, all right. And one of their catchers, I think, is hurt. And because
Jansen's
Heineman's
on
their,
the IL, he broke his finger.
that's right. Okay, so he's their third catcher. Got it.
Jansen, my second favorite player in baseball, behind Travis d'Arnaud.
Who's your first favorite?
Travis d'Arnaud.
And who's number one? Number two?
Jansen.
Oh, did he win something for you, I assume?
They both, for whatever reason, both of them are unbelievable for me. I don't know why.
Yeah, all right. And that was this year. Jansen won. Well, Jansen's actually been pretty good.
Jansen won me a big turn last year, like two of them probably. Yeah. Jansen hit 2 home runs in Fenway last year. It was a very good day for Bob.
Trying to get to Bob. I like speaking of myself in third person. So talk about Scherzer. I think he's going to be mostly neglected, when you consider the other guys that are up there. TJ, your thoughts as far as Scherzer? Probably not in your one lineup. You've already kind of hinted at that.
No,
How many lineups do you have to make?
I don't think I'd play him at all. Blue Jays don't strike out very much. They are throwing a lot of lefties out there against him. Even this lineup's not that terrible. They're not great by any means, but you pull up plate IQ, and Heineman's the only guy who's got any red in his batting profile. So I'm not playing any Scherzer today.
Seems like a little Toronto bias, if you ask me, Dean.
And it's also small sample nonsense.
Bobby, you're closer to Toronto than I am.
That's a good point.
Yeah, I am actually. It's like if I actually go and hop on a flight next to Kirk's house, he lives next to the airport. It's like an hour flight for me, Toronto.
Did he officially move? Is Kirkwood no longer your neighbor?
No, he's still my neighbor, but he lives across the harbor.
But that means don't if you can see Kirkwood's place outside your window, don't you live close to the airport? If Kirkwood lives close to the airport?
Yeah, I know, but I have to go through the tunnel. The tunnel's been closed for like all summer actually, but yeah, he lives like directly next to the airport, I feel like.
Gotcha. Yeah, so like Horwitz has been really good in a small sample, as has Schneider, but as TJ, I mean, I didn't know this until TJ pointed it out at the start of the show, so thank you for that, TJ. You told us that small samples can be nonsense, so we can throw them out. And this is probably nonsense as far as Horwitz and Schneider's success.
No, they're the exception to the rule.
I set the trap, and you're pot committed. I can respect that for sure. You have a take on Max, Bobby? Is he in your pool? Your hypothetical if you're running a 150?
Yeah, so you're right about these Blue Jays lefties, like not being fantastic, but still Varsho, Biggio, for whatever reason they get the job done. What do we have Scherzer's ownership at currently?
11% on DK.
11%?
Yeah. I'm giving it a refresh. Maybe we got a new batch.
Maybe I should be bumping up my Scherzer a little bit. I see 19%. Why?
You might be on the bat projections.
Yep. I am.
Yeah. They're generally pretty close, but the bat's got them more. We have, let's see, Verlander, as of 5:15, these are our projections, by the way. Verlander at 40%. It's a big number. 31% for Wu, 25% for Peralta, 15% for Ryan, Crawford at 12%. Crawford only DK eligible. Scherzer 11%. Sandoval at 10%. We could talk about Sandoval too. Is Manaea officially starting this game, or are they going to throw an opener at us at some point? But they never let him start. But I think they're letting him start. Is that what's happening there?
It seems like they're letting him start, yeah. He's like hitting my stuff. I'm getting him out of there immediately. Should I have more interest in Manaea?
How many baseballs is he going to throw, TJ? What are we expecting? About 80-ish? I'm looking at our projection now.
I think around 80-ish. I don't really want to play any Manaea. I don't like Cleveland.
65.
Well, there you go. So yeah, I don't want to get to any Manaea. He wasn't somebody I considered having in my pool. Going back to Scherzer quick, on FanDuel, I'd be a lot more willing to take shots on him where he's 10-1, still coming in sub 10% over there. We're projecting him at like below 8% on FanDuel. On DraftKings, it's just that price tag that I would have a tough time getting to. There's like, it's not ownership or anything like that. 11% is still low. It's just the 11.3 price tag for him. I'd have a tough time getting to, but I do like him on FanDuel where the ownership's even lower and the price tag is too.
What do you? Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
What do you have for ownership on Edward Cabrera? Is he going to be low owned?
Very. I love him in tournaments.
Yeah,
he's also not starting, and he's also getting babied. Just for the record, as far as his pitch count,
we have him for 80 pitches at 8-1.
I guess that's the bat. 75 for maybe split the difference, maybe 77 or so against Milwaukee. But yeah, it's kind of baked into the price, but we don't have him starting, and we got him throwing 75-ish pitches.
Kirky tagged him. Like, I like Edward Cabrera. I'm throwing him in my pool. I can get over on that.
I mean, the SB2, it's probably not a lot of competition, right? This is one of the reasons why Crawford's going to get some ownership. Nobody really likes Crawford, but if he can get you like 12 points or so, like 5-ish, 6-ish K, just kind of opens up the bats. Well, I think we'll take that. I'm looking at the projections now, like what the actual median projections are. Once we get beyond Peralta and Verlander and Ryan, Crawford, we're giving 13 points, which is, I would be thrilled with 13 points at a Crawford. Would you take that, Bobby? I assume you would.
I would, yeah.
Yeah. Sandoval's getting 13, Cabrera 12. We didn't mention Hyun-Jin Ryu, but it's a little bit more expensive. Littell getting around 11 or 12 as a median score. Rodon around 11-ish, but we know that there's a big variance on Rodon, as you've seen this season. Yeah, there's not much else to talk. I mean, Manaea's at 5.7. I just wonder if they might give him a few more pitches if he starts, as opposed to if he comes in. You never really know. He threw 34 pitches last game in 3 innings. Before that, 86 pitches in 3 1/3. So he was not efficient. 74 before that, 60, 57. Manaea versus Crawford, straight up. They're basically the same price, Bobby. It sounds like you prefer Crawford.
Yeah, definitely Crawford over Manaea.
Yeah, it's kind of uncomfortable, but yeah, none of it's great.
So you would prefer Manaea?
I think I prefer Crawford, but like it's not. Neither is a great choice. Like I don't, but I understand why we're getting there.
Crawford might be like my favorite SP2 after seeing the Yankees lineup.
What's going on in the Yankees lineup? Obviously, they lost. Yeah,
Florial, Judge, Torres, Wells, Kiner Falefa, Bowers, Peraza, Cabrera, Pereira.
So they just quit pretty much this year.
So Judge, Torres, and only young guys.
Huh. Yeah. Okay. That's interesting. So no Stanton. Yeah, Stanton, if he played 2 games in one day, he would just combust. You can't. And they got him signed for like the next 19 years. So I understand why he's not playing.
No Stanton, no LeMahieu, no Volpe.
Yeah, it's not great. Okay. And our projections are probably adjust a little bit. Like there's the weird thing where Stanton's good because he'll strike out, right? If you're looking for strikeouts, but we can just get like 5-ish pretty good innings out of Crawford. I'm good with that as well. Who's the second best hitter in this game? Or no, it's third best hitter in this game. I guess we can kind of do that. It's just it falls off really fast. Is the point?
On their team or in the game?
I'm talking about both these teams have pretty terrible lineups are rolling out. Is kind of the point I'm making. If you're doing a draft and you're drafting the hitters,
Cassis, Duvall, Story, Justin Turner.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's not great. It's not great. But okay. Anything else we should mention as far as pitchers? Anything else we should stress here, Bobby? Is there a pitcher you're getting well over the field, well under? I don't think we got your official Verlander take. He's gonna be the most popular pitcher on the board. on DK facing the Athletics. Are you with the field? You're well under, well over? Still kind of figuring it out? What's the story with Verlander?
I'm well under the field on Verlander currently.
Tell me why.
I like Ryan and I like Peralta better. I also want to I'm trying to build in currently Edward Cabrera a little bit at 8K. Yeah, and then I like just going down to the Cutter Crawfords. I'm going to play some Sandoval, Rodon. Wu will be in my pool. Yeah, Verlander I'm getting the least. So, I don't know. Oakland's been pesky, right? Just not getting a ton.
I mean, if they're pesky, everybody's pesky, right? Because they're still like the worst team. But yeah, one of the worst teams. But I hear what you're saying.
So you don't like that take that I should be?
No, I think it's a good take, and like the argument is ownership, right? And the other argument is Verlander. We haven't seen vintage Verlander where he strikes out 10 and goes 6 or 7 innings. We just don't.
He has been better though, for what it's worth.
I think Verlander is the top cash game play today on both sites, and I think 30% on Fanduel, 40% on DraftKings is reasonable enough to just not play him at all today if you want to.
Yeah, that makes sense. That checks out. Like I don't think he just beats me. Like basically is kind of where I'm at. Like am I willing to play him? Sure. And I think I prefer to spend a little bit more on Peralta and get a little bit less ownership. And this Miami lineup is not especially scary. I know Luis Ariz is annoying because he's a contact hitter, but overall, it's not a great lineup, especially the back end with Wendell and Stallings and Edwards. It's not good. We saw I think they struck out 10 times yesterday versus Woodruff. I'm not saying Peralta's going to repeat that, but I feel pretty good about Peralta tonight. TJ, give me your final thoughts when it comes to pitchers.
Up top it's different on the two sites. On FanDuel, the pricing is closer together. So Peralta and Scherzer, Joe Ryan, I like all of these guys quite a bit in tournaments today. But on DraftKings, it is tougher to get up to Peralta, but I still like him. Next in tournaments, I'd be prioritizing Joe Ryan, Cabrera, Carlos Rodon, Zach Littell, and Cutter Crawford, mixing in maybe a little Patrick Sandoval, but I don't like it. And then Justin Verlander, I think, is the top cash game option, top raw points projection option. I agree with that, but I just don't trust that super high ownership on him today.
Hold on a second. Mark in chat says Oakland was 12-70. They're no longer the worst record in baseball. They were not 12-70, right? That's historically like the worst team ever. Were they really that bad? Can we fact check that? 12-70? That's unprecedented. They could not have been that bad.
That would make them 33-29 in their last. However,
is that possible?
That was quick math, TJ.
Thank you.
I went to UCS, so I couldn't figure that out. I'm like, I don't know.
Dude.
I'm pulling up this is derailing the show, but this has to be addressed. If they were 12-70 at one point, we should have been talking about it. Like, being very specific about how terrible they were. But that is spectacular.
They're plus 500 now. So the last, what was it? 33-29.
If that's the case,
62 games.
Ever since they ran that, the protest, what was the term they used when the fans showed up to show how much they hate the ownership there? That's what turned the season around. But we're gonna have to have a sequel to Moneyball for sure. Did you want to add anything else, Bobby, as far as pitchers? Anything you would think that's worth pointing out? No.
Said I had a concise player pool, Dean. I gave you what I gave you. That's what I get.
Hey, we're always stretching, man. We're stretching. We still got 20 minutes to go until crunch time jumps in here. Y'all get DerekCarty, CEO of the Bat and the Blitz. You get SquirrelPatrol. I think I heard Squirrel say that he already won a live final seat to was it DK or Fanduel?
Did he really?
Of course he did. Like, why wouldn't he?
Why wouldn't he?
He was the chalk.
Exactly.
Yeah. So in the chat, we have producer Steve saying Oakland was 12-50 at one point. They were not 12-70. Well, Mark, that's a big difference. He says, my bad. Yeah.
It's still bad though. He's got a point.
Yeah.
Like 12-50 is terrible.
My brain could not, wait a second. They were 12-70. Like you're losing, you're winning one every like 6 games or something like that. That seems historic, but yeah, they obviously are putrid, and they're, whatever sort of adjective you want to use. Hey, we want to mention, it's not putrid. It's Stat Hero. Stat Hero, a unique fantasy sports platform. You already know it. You love it. It allows users to compete against the house instead of against other players in a particular contest. The Searing 20 contest for MLB Pick'em, that is still going on. Join this free-to-play contest and win. Start your streak. Keep your streak alive by playing each day. Build your streak. Win prizes with consecutive wins, including swag, RG Premium, and a cash prize. $20,000 first prize for the Searing 20. We have a nice, sweet deposit bonus as well. The promo code is GRINDERS, GRINDERS. Grinders, 50% deposit bonus, up to $250. Get into the action today over at Stat Hero. While we're here, we want to mention this is the last day. Tomorrow's the last day, right? I believe this promo. No, Thursday. Bad math by me. Only a couple more days left for our MLB Premium. If you are a non-RotoGrinders member for MLB Premium, you can get yourself a full season subscription, $50 off at a limited time price of $375. This sale, again, will be ending on Thursday night. If that's what you want, NFL Premium a la carte, just football and nothing else. If you want football and all the other sports, there's different packages available for you. Hockey a month away, NBA about 40 days away. Probably a good time to get the combo stuff, but if all you want is NFL, of course, college football is going down. LOL is like, I think it's always LOL season or CSGO season. I'm not sure. Golf feels like it never takes a day off. That is back this week. Bobby, let's talk some stacks. We talked about the Cubbies already in passing several times. Consensus value rankings, myself, Kirkwood, SquirrelPatrol, Dave Potts. No surprise, the number one team is Chicago consensus-wise, then Houston, the Dodgers, Arizona, Colorado, San Diego, Seattle, and the gutless Mets. How do you feel about that board? What's high? What's too low? What should we kick off? What should we add on? Do you like that board as far as our consensus rankings when it comes to stacks tonight?
Yeah, I would have Arizona 1. I really like Arizona tonight. I think you can bump the Mets too. No one has the Mets on here. Weather Edge has the Mets in a pretty good spot, right? So
talked about it earlier in the show. Yeah,
talked about it earlier in the show. I like that game. I think you can game stack it. I don't know where I would. I definitely prefer Arizona to the Mets. Who else? How about Houston? Where do we have Houston?
2. Yeah.
Yeah, I like.
It's Houston. Funny, by the way. Not to cut you off, but I was writing about that game, that Arizona New York game, and I talked before. I liked a fair bit of runs in that game, but yeah, I'm not a game stack guy, and like typically it's like there's a reason why I'll stack a game because like the elements are really good. The elements are not spectacular, Citi Field, but I did give a shout out to the Discord channel. Discord channel likes to talk their game stacks, and I thought that would be a spot if you want a game stack, you just want to watch one game and that's it, and have all your players playing in it, at least your hitters. Don't mind that spot. Hey, if you guys are not in Discord, check out Discord. It is free to jump in almost every single Discord channel. RotoGrinders.com/Discord. There's the MLB chat. There's an NFL chat. There's a college football chat. Especially when college football is about to kick off, there's always late breaking news. You want to be, in the know when several people are dropping, the knowledge that comes out of nowhere. You want to be in on those conversations. I cut you off, Bobby. I wanted to give a little bit of a plug to Discord. Feel free to continue as far as the Mets in Arizona and anybody else you want to give a shout out to.
No, Dean, continue your thought. You cut me off. I'm just here to be a host in the show. I'm a fly on the wall. So
you want to host the next 12 minutes? I'm happy to yield. I will play the best of my abilities. I cannot fill the role, but I will play.
I would be an awful. Role. I just feel like I'd be an awful host. Like I have the worst ADHD. My mind would be going like in 6 different ways. I think Dean, if you think Dean's like going off topic, I'd be a tough host.
Now I just want to see it. I want to hear it. Now I'm interested. Like now I'm going to stick around. I want to hear what that sounds like. But there's no pressure. No.
I'm not. I can't host. There's no way. Third for me would be the Cubbies. That's what I'm saying. Like I think you can play the Cubs as like a secondary and just try to get a lot of them in your lineups, but just as a secondary stack, or if you're playing the 5-man. Do like TJ said and play the back half. Their lineup's gotten better with the addition of Morel. So they're a team that you're going to have. I might even group like at least one Chicago Cub in every one of my lineups. But how I build them, I think, is key, right? Yeah, and not saying you can't play the 5-mans. I would just play them a little bit differently than everyone else. Or on the other side, your stacks be differentiated.
Shout out to Jonathan in the chat. Took down first in the mini max on the 9th. There you go. A couple days ago. Congrats to you. You took down TJ. So congrats on that. Somebody in chat is saying, I don't know what game they're talking about, but they says Johnny's saying that game's going to get rained out. What game are you talking about? Because I see nothing.
There is like weather situations. I was looking. Yeah.
Okay.
I see all yellow though. I don't see anything orange.
Yeah, I mean, maybe Roth's going to update something verbally when he comes in 10 minutes or so, 15 minutes or so. But I'm looking at his weather report right now, and the most, the scariest one, I suppose, will be by default is Yankees at Boston yellow-green. Everything else is
I can assure you that
yellow.
game isn't going to be bad. I'm looking out my window right now. It seems very, very nice out. Like I honestly wish I was walking somewhere rather than doing this show right now because the weather seems fantastic.
You don't want to hang out with myself and TJ?
You guys are nice people, but I don't know. The weather's good. We didn't get a lot of good weather this summer.
He didn't say he wouldn't want it to be with us. We could all go for a walk together.
Nah, there was an implication. He wants to be with like his kid and his girlfriend. I understand. I get it. But how big is that window? He sees the airport. He sees Fenway. He sees Kirkwood's place. Got a big window there going on.
I'll send you a pic. It's good. Good size.
I'm dropping the weather report in chat, by the way. TJ, give me your thoughts when it comes to stacks. I assume I don't have to get the rundown again. You've been on top of it. You've been paying attention. What are your favorites? Anything we have listed too high? Anything we have listed too low when it comes to today's stacks?
I think it's Cubs number 1 for me, Houston number 2, Mets 3, Arizona 4. So those are the two that I think are a little low for me and I would want bumped up. And then I think I have the Dodgers as my 5th favorite team today. We just got their lineup. I like the Dodgers quite a bit every single night, and tonight is no different.
All right. Start loading up my questions in chat. I missed a few, so if we did not answer it, please just go ahead and fire it off, write it again, and add the specifics, right? Let us know if you're playing in tournaments, if you're playing cash games, you're playing on DK or Fanduel, large field contests, single entry, 3-entry max. That stuff is helpful, makes it easier to answer questions. Scrolling up a little bit. So Mike wants to know, I'll ask this to Bobby. Padres versus Lynn, any likey? I don't know. He's asking that like Tommy Boy here. Does Bobby likey? I don't know. How much of a typo or
So you can play Padres versus Lynn. For me, like you hit on a good one, Grisham. I think Soto would be in play. Do we have their full lineup?
I don't think so, but I assume we're going to get a standard. They're battling.
Like if
it's a rivalry
hits, or who's my guy there on there? The second, third, first baseman. What does he play?
Cronenworth's hurt. If you're thinking of Cronenworth.
Cronenworth's hurt. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you go the lefties, Soto and Machado. Always fine, but they're gutless. So, yeah, I don't know. You can definitely play them. I think it'll be differentiated. I don't mind the Padres. For whatever reason, like, I'm not getting to them. I see Dean wrote them up. So, yeah, maybe Dean sees something on the Padres. You have them as 4, Dean, in your expert rankings.
Well, I mean, Lance Lynn gives up a ton of home runs, right? And home runs is like the quickest way to get fantasy points. Lynn on the season, 2.25 homers per 9. That is too many. I know he's been a little bit unlucky when it comes to homer and the fly ball, 20.7%. But, this Padres team has been disappointing. Some would say gutless. But we saw him step up. I think it was last night where Soto would a 3-run homer to break. Machado banged out a couple. We know their ceiling. We know their potential. And I think they're going to be, I don't want to say totally neglected, but they're going to fall behind. They're going to fall behind Chicago.
We're definitely falling behind, yeah.
Yeah, so it's not that hard to get better than the field on San Diego. You have an official thought when it comes to the Padres, TJ?
Yeah, they would probably be like my number 6 team. Don't quite make the rankings as a top 5 stack for me on the slate, but San Diego and Seattle are like the next 2 teams that come in just under that for me. Derek,
TJ's got a question for you specifically. Do we look at the Angels lineup? Is it out Is Ohtani in it or out of it? Are they going to scratch him later on today?
It's out, and there's no Ohtani. The reason he asked about that is just because it's trash. But somebody else asked in chat, Brian Wu or Zach Littell in single entry, and the reason they're asking what that Angels lineup is because they're going up against Wu, and it's really bad. But it's just the ownership for Wu that I don't want. Like, it's just too high for me, and I want to just completely not play him because of it.
What's the % chance that my call that Ohtani is never playing again for the Angels like 2 weeks ago is going to hold up?
It's going to hold up, Dean. There's no way he plays another game this year.
They've called him day to day for like 2 weeks, right? Like every
He's not
single.
playing. Yeah.
Yesterday he was in the lineup and they scratched him. Like it's over, right? Like
you think the GM like crumples up pieces of paper every time he looks and sees what the order is, and he like, why didn't I trade this guy? You know what I mean? Or the owner?
I don't know. I have no idea. I'm not sure who their GM is, how savvy they may or may not be.
They're not that savvy because I don't know the first thing about being a general manager of anything, and I would tell you that he would have been gone 2 weeks before the deadline if I got the right deal for him. I could, I'd never be in that position, but there's no way they could have actually thought that they had a chance.
Yeah, it's. I mean, they really could. Look, we've talked about that a lot. How badly they fumbled the Ohtani situation. Flex Mlb in a takedown lineup. What does that mean? What's a takedown lineup? Is that like a showdown lineup? What's a takedown lineup?
I know the lineup that takes down a tournament, but I don't think it's accurate regardless.
Okay, yeah, I thought that was like a new game that I wasn't aware of. Somebody was asking about Quantrill. I don't think I'm playing. I'm definitely not playing Quantrill. Does anybody want to give a half-hearted thumbs up to Quantrill, or just
he's pitching in San Francisco?
Yeah. You're saying that as a statement or fact, or like that's the best sales pitch you can make for him?
That's the best sales pitch I can make, and he's 5'5".
Yeah.
I think you could. I think you could go there in larger field stuff.
13% case in the season. It's like, I mean, you're looking for survival, basically.
At that price, yeah.
We did get the Giants. It's Yaz, Yastrzemski leading off, Estrada, Flores, Peterson, Wade, Haniger, Sable, Crawford, Matos. Dodgers is out. That's Betts, Freeman, Smith, Muncy, JD Martinez, Peralta, Hayward, Outman. So that's 3 lefties in a row. And then Kike, Enrique, Hernandez. Mariners, is that standard? Mostly. Crawford, Rodriguez, Hernandez, Big Dumper, Kyle Rowley, Suarez, France, Moore, Haggerty, and Caballero. So he's in there for somebody. Not quite sure who it is. Maybe I'm missing it here on the fly. But who are we waiting for as far as lineups? Right, San Diego, Cleveland. Is that it? I think that's it, right? Okay, that's all we're waiting for. Other questions that are hanging out in chat. Head Chopper, Imposter Head Chopper saying, I do not play DFS. All right. I don't know where I just kind of do this. It's a whole bit.
Head Chopper doesn't hang around in this chat anymore. I don't know why.
I don't know. Do you have access to him in the secret Discord?
I'm not in the secret Discord. I think I'm in it, but I'm not personally in it, but I'm definitely in it.
Wait, you're in the Discord, but you're not in the Discord? Is that what you're saying?
I feel like my name probably comes up a little bit, but I'm not actually in the Discord.
They're talking trash? Is that what I'm hearing? Behind your back?
Could be.
Oh my gosh.
Yours is probably in there too.
Oh my, I think we got to have a sit down with Kirky for sure. I would move away from him as well if I had my druthers. TJ, we have a question for you. Single entry on FanDuel. You got Peralta or Verlander? Single entry, especially when it comes to pitcher, it tends to elevate, tends to squeeze. The popular players are going to be more popular. You got Verlander or Peralta on FanDuel. Who do you prefer?
Peralta.
I want to check the ownership on those two. I think Verlander's expected to get more, right? I think I'm going to play some Peralta in single entry on FanDuel. We're looking at 31% Verlander and 21-22 to Peralta. So obviously the top two most popular pitchers. Big gap after that. I feel like anybody else. Ryan 8%, Scherzer at 7%, Wu at 6%. I'm not fully confident Wu can get to 6 innings. He can. He's got to be efficient. The same deal with Littell. He has been efficient at times. You want that QS on FD if you can get it. Well, that's a good question here, TJ. Gridiron Beauties wants to know, cheap pitcher on Fanduel with upside. Is that
Zach
a trick
Littell.
question? Does that exist? Who is it?
Zach Littell.
Littell. All right. There's Kirkwood. Kirkwood says Bobby is slandering me with a question mark. Is there trouble in paradise? I don't know. Or I'm slandering him. I don't know what. Oh, and Bobby throws me under the bus immediately and says, of course, it's me. Thank you, Bobby. I would never. What's the player or stack that you're not getting enough of, Bobby, that you're most afraid of for whatever reason?
Ask TJ this question. I'll get back to me.
TJ?
Probably overall, Justin Verlander would be the guy that I'm most afraid of not having enough of. And then from an offense perspective, I'd say the Colorado Rockies.
Is there one Rocky in particular you're like, man, I wish I had so-and-so?
Ryan McMahon.
Ryan McMahon and Nolan Jones are always those guys for me. I don't really care about anybody else on the team ever.
If you're playing on FanDuel, Chris Bryant is 2.5. Like, it's just worth acknowledging. I know he's been terrible coming back from injury, but that's like a flat-out punt. Also, it's a revenge game. I don't know how vengeful he is with the Cubbies, but 2.5 is really, really cheap. Bobby, did we give you enough time?
Yeah, he said Verlander. I'm going to go Scherzer. I'm not going to have any Scherzer tonight. And for whatever reason, the Blue Jays are gutless, and who knows? Maybe he throws a no-no. I don't know. That's a little – it's not the same Scherzer, but I could just see not playing Scherzer and kicking myself for it.
Let's get 12 more likes so we can get the final dong bomb banger combo before the crunch time crew gets here. We're at 138, got well over 500 people watching. We only need 12 more likes for another set of dongs and bombs and bangers. So let's get it going.
You know what I love is, like, right now, like, at least one of the three, if not Roth, Carty, or Squirrel, they're hanging out in the bullpen right now, and they just turn on the show. They listen. They can hear us. They're like, what bangers and dongs and what's leading us?
Kirkwood, who's just hopping at
Roth is just nodding along like, yeah, this is par for the course.
Is Kirkwood going to fire off the Juggalo bombs? Is that going to be a thing too? I don't know.
Dean trying to get back on Kirk's good side after talking some smack. That's all I'm saying.
I would never talk smack about Kirkwood. I respect him more than anybody. I don't know why you're trying to stir the pot.
So to confirm, you said you would, if you had your druthers, you would like to have a word with him, and the word with him that you'd like to have is that you respect
he's
him.
Spectacular. Yeah. Who has druthers, by the way? Well, who's the youngest person to ever say if they had druthers? Is like a 40-year-old? Has a 30-year-old ever used that phrase?
Probably you. I don't think anybody younger than you has ever said that, but we have gotten over 150 likes, and I see the crunch time crew waiting in the wings, so I think we got to give the final Spidey bomb. I didn't find somebody with super crazy odds that I felt comfortable with, but I do like this one as well, and it's Spencer Torkelson at plus 420 in this one.
How do you see the crunch time crew? You must have a special fancy camera. I only see the
Oh,
three
that
of
game's
us.
not on the main slate. Never mind. I got to think about it.
Oh, TJ, come on, man. Flagging up, play. You're too busy staring at whatever's going on behind the scenes.
Yeah, Roth, Carty, and Squirrel are looking good. I got distracted. I'm sorry.
Do you have anytime you mess up, I love when you apologize. The people love it too, because Bobby, you hear it, right? The sorry, it really comes out on the sorry, right? You hear it?
I heard it. It's like a little.
It's very endearing.
It's the Canadian break.
Who's your third banger, Bobby?
I'm gonna go Mark Vientos of the New York Mets.
I'm gonna double down on Diamondbacks. So a little bit of a revenge here, a little Tommy Pham revenge. So to recap, my dongs are Tommy Pham, Christian Walker. Those could be honorary knockers. Shout out Headshopper, batting 3-4 in the D-backs lineup, and we went off the board a little bit with Trent Grisham against the Dodgers, probably hitting in the 9-hole tonight. TJ, did we give you enough time to get an emergency or Spidey? I guess I should say, a replacement homer.
Yeah, we are gonna go with we're sticking with Steve's Mets, running it back to the well yesterday, and in Choppers Knockers fashion, and we're going Pete Alonso and DJ Stewart.
I like that call.
So we're all in the Mets Arizona game.
Yes.
Is this our bubble, or is this actually happening? Is like the DFS world on top? Is City Field's like the worst ballpark to pick for offenses? Is that what's happening?
I know, that's what I'm saying. Like, it seems like we're just totally, I don't know. Squirrel, what do you think? Are we in a bad spot playing the Mets in Arizona?
No, I like the Mets.
Right.
A couple good home run, possibilities there. So,
did I hear correctly, Squirrel? Not to cut you off, did I hear correctly? Did you already punch your ticket to one of the live finals per week one NFL results?
I got a handful of live final seats. It was actually the second time in a year I was in a tiebreaker for the MMA live final on DraftKings, like for an MMA live final seat. I lost the tiebreaker, but on that same slate, won like another seat. So I got the MMA final seat on Saturday, but that's a play-in, so I don't really count that yet. Then for main slate football, I got like a FanDuel seat, which definitely counts, and then a King of the Beach for DraftKings.
Where's FanDuel this year? What's the destination?
It is a cruise. So we're cruising from Miami to the Bahamas. I think actually like from Miami to Key West, and then like a couple days in the Bahamas. It's like a Virgin Atlantic cruise.
I'd probably be afraid to be on a cruise with FanDuel,
Yeah.
The way FanDuel goes, you know what I mean? Like,
get that thought out before the FanDuel sponsored crunch time starts.
Sorry about that.
Bobby's done
That
for
was-
the year.
You get stuck at sea.
That
I
was
don't know,
still
things can go
Grinders
wrong
Live.
on cruises.
Well, you're supposed to leave on a high note, Bobby. You got anything else, or shall we see our way
Let's
out?
get out of here before we get fired.
TJ, you good? You got anything?
Thanks, Dean.
Yeah, you're welcome, TJ. Hey, Roth, before we step aside, a shout out to you. You nailed New York. I didn't jinx you. People are saying I'm going to jinx Roth, like I have that ability. But you called New York, Boston yesterday. Somebody in chat said that they're speculating that some game might rain out tonight. I didn't see anything in the article, but I'm not trying to throw you off. But like I saw it as well. I'm like, wait, what? Roth didn't give me an update.
He
Tell
didn't
us if
jinx you, but he tried to jinx you.
No,
Yeah.
I would never.
I was above your jinxing, Dean.
Yeah.
You can't stop me.
I'll see your drinks and I'll raise you. All right. Myself and TJ and Bobby, we're done. We're going to yield to the FanDuel sponsor, Crunch Time. You have DerekCarty, CEO of the Bat and the Blitz. You have SquirrelPatrol, who's going to 19 live finals again. Start being friendly with Squirrel. You got to get in that +1 queue. I don't know. That's got to be a fun conversation for sure. But all right, Roth, take it away. We're getting out of here.
Thank you. Good stuff as always. Welcome to it. This is indeed FanDuel sponsored Crunch Time. We only have wonderful things to say about our fantastic sponsor. And it's a show where we have two of the sharpest minds in the biz. We got my guy, DerekCarty, in the house, the creator, inventor, and CEO of the Bat and the Blitz. What up, Carty? You're muted. We got him. He's muted. He's coming back for me, though.
Here we go.
There we say.
Things are good. Good week one of football. We still have 3 more weeks of baseball left. So yeah, things are good.
Okay, I can see you're feeling good. Somebody in the chat says, Carty going 3 buttons undone. I know you're feeling confident. You're feeling good. Got the buttons undone. And then we got my guy Squirrel as well. Yeah, all right. We got Squirrel as well. A couple live finals as always. What's up, Squirrel?
Yeah, not much. We're still doing the baseball thing. Like football started, we're still doing this baseball thing for like another month at least. So.
Yeah. And we're okay with that because I believe some people call this Free Money Tuesday because
it is. Yeah, it's like a DFS holiday.
Right. Yeah. So get excited. This concept came about, for those that don't know, a bunch of people play NFL, and then when they lose NFL or win or whatever, they just have the itch and they want to play. So then they dabble in MLB and they have no idea what they're doing. Whether or not that is still true, we're thinking no, it's not.
Probably not.
No,
I don't
probably
think
not.
so anymore. It used to be for sure, but
Yeah. Not so much a thing anymore. But we're gonna win some money either way. We don't need free money. We're gonna earn that damn money because we got two of the sharpest minds in the biz. P.S. If you were here 24 hours ago, I absolutely had a meltdown on air. I lost my mind. There was so much happening, but I did nail the forecast, so I am pleased with how it turned out. Apologies for absolutely melting down on live air, but We're not going to have any meltdowns today because I think the weather is good enough in every spot that I don't think you should do anything about the weather in any spot. And there's like a handful of places with a low chance of a delay, but it's low enough so that you just play everybody anyways, and that includes pitchers. I, I guess Dean said someone in the chat said they were worried about a certain spot. Let me know what spot you're worried about. I'll like triple check it, but I triple check everything every night, and I don't see any problems. But if you have a specific question, go ahead and fire away, and I'll let you know.
My question is about this meltdown that I am sad I didn't witness.
Oh,
How do I watch it on
lost it.
replay?
Yeah, I was overwhelmed. There was football happening. There was a baseball rain out in Chicago, and then the New York game, and there was just a lot going on. And then my kids came in and were yelling. It was just like I just completely lost my mind. But we navigated it okay, and now we're set. Now I've got a beer and it's a quiet day. So let's go ahead and dive into this slate, gentlemen, if you don't mind. Carty, you want to start us off, either just talking about the slate in general or diving in and talking about pitchers?
Yeah, I think let's just dive in and talk about pitchers.
Sure.
The top guy tonight is Justin Verlander by a decent amount. He's also going to be the highest owned by a decent amount. In cash games, you don't need to overthink it. He's your guy on both sites. It's just a matter of who you're going to pair him with on DraftKings. The next tier is kind of like Freddie Peralta, Joe Ryan, and Max Scherzer. None of them are in awesome spots. All of them are pretty expensive. And so I think you kind of dip just a little bit lower to Brian Wu. He's 7.9K. He's very talented. He's facing the Los Angeles Angels, who are just, I mean, they're a train wreck at this point in the season. Strikeout heavy, weak lineup, and Wu is cheap. So I think Verlander Wu is the combo. And then in tournaments, there are things you can do to get weird. I don't love all of them. Honestly, if you just want to stick to a pool of those 5 guys, I think that's fine. If you want to take a shot that this is the night that Carlos Rodon goes back to being Carlos Rodon, like, go ahead, but it's a tough spot, and we haven't seen that guy really yet. You have Cutter Crawford for cheap or Sean Manaea for cheap, but I don't love it.
Okay. That's all? Those 5 dudes pretty much for you, and that's the pool, both FanDuel and DK?
Pretty much. I mean, Manaea on FanDuel's really cheap, so you can maybe make a case there, but it's still like the raw point ceiling is not awesome.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, then let's bring in Squirrel, and I want to talk tournaments here. Do you have that same pool of 5 guys? Are you narrower? Do you have more in your pool? What are you doing?
I probably have a little bit more. It kind of just goes down in maybe a group of 7 or 8 or so guys that each one of them is projected just a little bit under the next guy, or the guy above him. And the pricing's all about the same, but it is approximately like the guy that's like a little bit worse is a little bit cheaper. So I'm just going to spread my exposure out amongst all of those guys. Just a little bit of slate context. So it's a 7:07 start, so you get an extra 2 minutes. But also, it's there's the Yankees game, Yankees Red Sox game is on DraftKings, not on FanDuel. So it's game 2 of a doubleheader. And the Red Sox lineup's a little bit, and actually I think both lineups are a little bit weak. Just guys getting, I think Giancarlo Stanton's out for the Yankees. I think Anthony Volpe is sitting in game 2 as well for the Yankees, and I think Devers is not in the lineup for the Red Sox. Makes both pitchers a little bit more appealing on DraftKings.
Gotcha. Okay, noteworthy. Let's dive back into the pitchers here. You mentioned you've kind of got like 7 guys, each one gradually. So who do you have the most exposure to, and who are these guys, and where do you draw the line?
Sure. So I think the guy I like the most is Joe Ryan. He's he's got a good strikeout prop. He's projected for like a little bit under the most popular guys, which are Peralta and Verlander. So I'm just going to take a little bit of their exposure, particularly from Verlander, and give it to Joe Ryan. I do like Freddie Peralta. Let's see. Then for the cheaper guys, I do like Brian Wu. And then I'm probably a little bit over the field on Patrick Sandoval facing Seattle.
Okay. And then on FanDuel specifically, I'm looking at some of these prices. Like you mentioned some of the cheaper guys and you said Woo. On FanDuel, he's 9.5. I assume that's not the case there. Is there a cheap option on FanDuel?
See, in terms of like super cheap options, probably Zach Little would be my favorite from the guys. That's let's see, below like say 7,000.
Okay. And is that a viable option or no? Because there's enough good guys that somebody in that upper range is going to get it done.
No, he's definitely viable. I would go up to I have 15, 20% ownership on him.
Okay. Carty, I got a question here, and I'm gonna kind of drag you into this. This is a little drama-ish, but it's not too bad. Michael says, "Hey, RG has around 20 less pitches than Manaea does. Sorry, for Manaea than the bat. I'm not asking if the bat is right, but Carty, are you cool with that 83?"
The thing with Manaea is you never know how they're going to use him. His range of outcomes is so wide. Generally, though, especially lately, he's been used more as like the bulk guy behind an opener. He hasn't actually been like the starter, which he is today, unless they've changed it. As far as he's the starter today, right? Yeah. There's no opener for him today. So generally when a guy is bulking, he gets fewer pitches than when he's actually starting. So I think that's kind of where the bat is coming in a little bit. 80 feels a little high maybe for his average. Maybe I'll bump it down to 75, but I think 80, even 90 is certainly within his range of possible outcomes.
Okay, great. That's all. Yeah, you didn't even cause any drama. Great answer. All right. I think it's time to talk about some of the bats and some of the stacks. If you feel good about pitchers, good. If you got questions, get them on in there. But Squirrel, why don't you lead us off and talk about where we're targeting the bats here?
Sure. So it's a Coors Field slate. So I think the Cubs are going to be the most popular. I like them. I like them a little bit less than the field, just because I think they're going to see some excess ownership that they probably don't deserve. I mean, they're in a good spot, but it's not like we've seen some of the teams go in there and have like the Braves going in and having a run total approaching 8, and it's a bigger slate. So I actually do like the Cubs a little bit more on FanDuel, where there's one less game and then therefore 2 less teams. Pivots that I like pivoting to Houston. I like pivoting to the Dodgers. I like pivoting to San Diego. They're a little bit farther down on the implied run total, but Lance Lynn hasn't looked good his last few starts. And also, like playing road teams, you get the extra at bats, and so if a team starts hitting, they just keep hitting. Whereas if the home team scores 10 runs in an inning, they maybe lose the 9th inning. Or if that's 10 runs in the 9th inning, the game just stops. And then on DraftKings in particular, I like both the Yankees and the Red Sox a little bit. I like them a little bit less now that their lineups aren't as good. But Aaron Judge, you can definitely always play as a one-off, or you can play it at a mini Yankee stack.
Okay, very good. I'm getting a few team questions in here, so I'll let Carty go, and then we'll get to some of those. Gridiron Beauty says San Diego bats disappoint consistently. They're gutless. If I've learned anything this season, is that San Diego is gutless. That much we know. Carty, where are you targeting here stack wise?
I've learned anything this year, it's that San Diego pissed off somebody with a lot of power, because they are not this bad. This is a really, really good team that just has not been good. Like, they're just the outlier on the bad side, and you have to expect it to turn around. So I'm basically in the same.
At this point, do you expect it to turn around? Like, at this point, you just are who you are. Like, it's been all season. Like, it's you are who you are at this point in the season.
The season is just an arbitrary number of games. You always have to just expect it to turn around right away. If you think they're better than they're performing, then they're better right now.
Yeah. All right. Well, what are you targeting stack wise, Carty?
Basically the same boat here. Like, Cubs are obviously the chalk. They're the best. You're going to play a bunch of them in cash. You're going to probably have some Rockies. But the teams that I like to pivot off of are, because once you get off of that, you're basically different enough, are the same ones. I like the Astros. I like the Padres. I like the Dodgers. On DK, I like the Yankees. The Diamondbacks. Those are kind of the next best teams. So I'm right there too.
Okay. 2 teams that got brought up here in the chat. Carty, you can take the first crack at this. Brewers. Any interest in Brewers? From either of you, actually.
They're fine. They're cheap enough on DraftKings. They project well enough. I don't have a problem with Brewers.
Okay. And then what was the other one that I saw? Oh, do the Blue Jays get to Scherzer? Any interest there, guys?
They're not
Not
making
for me.
my top list. Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's perfect. Okay. I think it is probably about time to go around the horn a little position by position. First, though, did you know the show's sponsored by FanDuel? Of course you did. It's free content. Thanks to FanDuel. We've been doing it each and every day all season long. Make sure you're signing up for the FanDuel Sportsbook if you're in a legal sports betting state. Take advantage of their awesome bonus offer. New customers bet $5, get $200 in bonus bets, plus $100 off your NFL Sunday ticket. If you're in Kentucky, congrats on sports betting. You get a very special offer, $100 in free bets for launch day. Terms and conditions do apply, but make sure you are checking that out. Let's go around the horn here. One more team, Carty, and then we'll do that. Mets. I feel like we've talked about the Mets. We like the Mets.
Yeah, Mets are fine. Another team like the Brewers where they're not quite that top tier, but they project well enough. They're cheap enough. Ownership's reasonable enough.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. All right. Let's dive into it. Start me off with a little catcher talk, Carty.
So the guy that's going to be the most popular is in Coors Field. It's Yan Gomes. He's 3.7K on DraftKings. The Cubs are the best team of the night. They're facing Chris Flexen, who's, I mean, even if it wasn't Coors, Flexen is going to be one of the weaker pitchers on any slate. So Gomes is great. Elias Diaz on the other side of the game is great. If you need to save some money, you can go down to Austin Wells on DraftKings for 2.6, hitting cleanup for the Yankees against Crawford in Boston. Good park upgrade. That's kind of the cash options. It's basically Gomes or Wells. Other than that, you can one-off Will Smith. You can one-off Mitch Garver or William Contreras, or you can play a catcher in your stack.
Okay, great. Squirrel, your thoughts at catcher?
Yeah, I like all the guys that he mentioned as one-offs. But yeah, like Will Smith, Mitch Garver. If you're looking to save money, Austin Wells. If you're looking to save money with a little bit less ownership, Shea Langelier. And then Cal Riley. Always big dumper, always a possibility he gets multiple home runs.
Very good. I approve of the big dumper and your pronunciation of Langelier. Perfectly done. All right, how about first base, Squirrel? What do we got there?
Sure. First base, Cody Bellinger, I think, leads the way in Coors Field. But yeah, Pete Alonso is right behind him. Freddie Freeman can always break a slate. I like the Dodgers and San Diego, both kind of a West Coast game. But they, put up some runs last night, and I obviously both talented offenses. So it's not just about last night and the small sample size. But yeah, they both teams can hit. So in terms of value plays on DraftKings, like Jake Bowers, the Yankees is hitting 6th. And then probably Ryan Noda as another value play.
Okay, very good. By the way, John in chat says, hey, smash that like button. And John is right. Smash that like button because this is free content and we're trying to get eyeballs on it so that we can keep it free. That's the only way it will stay free is if it's really getting a lot of traction. So make sure you're hitting that like, that subscribe button. That will most certainly help us out in that department. Carty, first base, what do you got?
So Christian Walker is kind of the option that I think makes the most sense for cash on both sites, especially on FanDuel. He's 3.3 on DK at 4.6. He's good. You also have Montero in Coors, who, if you're not getting up to Bellinger, who is very expensive and honestly, I don't think worth the price tonight on either site, especially when he comes with high ownership. I think Montero is a good way to save some money and still get some cores. So on DraftKings, he's 3.3. I think that's awesome. I think it's him or Walker. On FanDuel, even though you don't have to play a catcher, I think Will Smith is firmly in the mix as one of the best plays at this position. We mentioned the Dodgers are one of the best spots outside of Coors Field. Michael Wacha is an extreme reverse splits guy. Will Smith is only 3.4K. He projects straight up better than Freddie Freeman in that lineup. So I like Will Smith a lot tonight on FanDuel. And other than that, Freeman obviously is great because Dodgers, and Vlad, I think, is one of the few Toronto bats that I'd have some interest in. He's going to come in low owned. Scherzer is a fly ball guy, can give up bombs. And so I think Vlad in tournaments is kind of sneaky.
You mentioned Waka being reverse splitsy. Do you think that the average player knows that, or are they just doing the same, like avoid righty lefty matchups? Like, do you think you would get an ownership discount on Will Smith because most people just see, righty lefty, whatever it is?
I think you probably get a little bit, especially because he's a catcher and you don't have to play a catcher.
Yeah.
I think people look more at the individual splits than like what the true splits are. So, I mean, I don't know.
Okay. Squirrel, any thought on that?
On if people are looking at the splits, the reverse splits.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think it's probably baked into projections to some extent. And so people are looking at the projections. But I think if you're hand building, I mean, when I hand build a lineup, if I don't know, I don't have stats in front of me, I'm trying to go quickly. If I see like left on left, I'm more likely to avoid it.
Right. Okay. It being baked into projections, I guess, is not something that I consider, which means that, yes, most people are considering it because everybody's got projections. Okay. Interesting. Just curious. All right. How about second base, Carty? What do you got?
Second base. All right. So Mookie Betts, top guy on the slate. I think you can definitely find a way to get up to him on DraftKings, but I don't think you have to. Over on FanDuel, though, you do have Christopher Morel, who has multi-position eligibility and is eligible at second. So he's actually, I like better than Betts. He's leading off. He's for the Cubs. He's in Colorado. In cash, you don't need to overthink it. On FanDuel, I think you just play Morel. On DK, where you don't have him, I think Mookie is in play. I think you can go down to Gleyber Torres in that Yankees lineup that we only have on DraftKings. I think you can go down to Brendan Rodgers at 3.5 in Coors. If you want to go cheaper, you have Oswald Perez in the Yankees lineup for 2.9. I think there's viable options at basically every price point tonight on DraftKings. On FanDuel, Morel's kind of just the guy, and I don't love the really cheap options. Like, I guess you have Brendan Rodgers for 2.9 is like kind of cheap. You have Jace Peterson for 2.3, who's really cheap. So I think if you're going down, he's probably the guy that I like the most.
Okay. Squirrel, second base.
Yeah, it's a surprisingly good position. You've got Jose Altuve. I like the Astros, I think, more than the field tonight. Like Mookie Betts, I mean, he's pretty expensive. Nico Horner on DraftKings. I mean, those guys are all really expensive. If you're looking for value plays, one guy that we didn't mention so far, Ronnie Mauricio with the Mets on both sides, second base, which I think second base eligible on both sites. 2,500 on FanDuel, I think 2,600 on DraftKings. He's one of my favorite value plays on the slate.
Oh, very good. We got a question about him just before you started talking about him. So good job. All right. How about third base?
Third base. So yeah, Christopher Morel leading off for the Cubs. Also third base eligible on FanDuel. I really like Max Muncy. I like the Dodgers tonight. And he's another guy's, who's left-hander facing the righty Waka, and he's got a lot of power. Jose Ramirez won't be particularly high owned, and then Ronnie Mauricio is also eligible on third base.
Great. Carty, your thoughts at third?
Christopher Morel's the top guy on DraftKings, where you can't play him at second. I think you play him at third. You have Oswald Perez as a cheap guy there. You have Oswaldo Cabrera as well as a cheap guy there. Who am I missing? Oh, on FanDuel, Jace Peterson again is I think your cheap guy. And then for one-offs, like I like Machado a lot. We mentioned the Padres is a good stack. I like Machado. I like Jose Ramirez. I like Muncy, Bregman, just kind of the usual guys in those good lineups that are at this position.
On FanDuel, I'm looking at Morel, and he's outfield third, second eligible. Where's the smartest place to play him, or does it not really matter?
I think it's second or third. Either one I think is fine.
Yeah. All right. Squirrel, you have any thoughts there, or just in agreement?
I don't have any particular thoughts. Second base seems like it's got a little bit better hitters tonight relative, so maybe third, but wherever he fits.
Okay, very good. I think that takes us into the outfield, or rather, shortstop, Carty.
Sure. So Dansby Swanson in Coors is our top guy. On DraftKings, even at 5.5, I think you can definitely get up there. on FanDuel at 3.6, he's easy to get. You do have Nico Horner in the same lineup for 3.8K, but I think Swanson is considerably better. You have Lindor, who I think is interesting enough at 3.8K. And then you can go down and save money with Jeremy Pena hitting second for Houston for 2.7, who I like quite a bit. On DraftKings, where we have that Boston Yankee game, you have, I'm going to butcher the name, Rafaela for 2.7 hitting leadoff for Boston. So against Rodon, who is obviously struggling this year and is also extremely easy to steal on. And this is a guy who has considerable speed. So I like him a lot as a punt tonight. And then, yeah, that's kind of the thing.
Okay. Squirrel, shortstop.
Yeah, it's a little bit different between the two sites because because of the presence of Rafaela. My top guys on DraftKings are Francisco Lindor, Dansby Swanson, then Trevor Story in that order. Story's not on FanDuel. So on FanDuel, you do have Mookie Betts. So then my top guys on FanDuel are actually Mookie Betts, Nico Horner, and Francisco Lindor. Then in terms of value plays on FanDuel, like Jeremy Pena or Ronnie Mauricio, who's like practically eligible everywhere. On DraftKings, it's Mauricio, and then that guy, Sidane Rafaela.
Okay. Very good. Take me to the outfield, Squirrel.
Sure. So on the outfield, like it's worth mentioning, like Aaron Judge has an outstanding home run prop. I don't know if I'd bet it, but I would. It makes me interested in him from a DFS perspective on DraftKings, where that game is on the slate. Then Corbin Carroll. Then some of the Coors Field guys, Christopher Morel, Ian Happ, outfield eligible. I like Tommy Pham as well with Arizona.
Okay. And when you say he has a great home run prop, you mean it's the odds are ridiculous that he'll hit one, not like, ooh, these are good odds for betting.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like plus 175 on DraftKings. So like that maybe makes me inclined not to bet it. Like maybe you shouldn't bet it, but it does make me think like, I don't know. Maybe like last time I saw this home run prop like that, they were sending like these like crazy baseballs to the Yankees games. So the Judge would hit 61. So
okay. Carty, what are you doing in the outfield? And are you looking up the betting odds there?
I'm looking up his odds. Yeah, that shows no value, but you can find plus 225 somewhere at Rivers, I think. So that's a little better. But yeah, that's insane. You don't see odds like that often. Similar thoughts though. The Coors guys, Christopher Morel, Seiya Suzuki. I like the Tommy Pham call quite a bit. Rafael, if you're not playing him at short, is eligible outfield. He's great. On the other side of that game in the Yankees lineup, we have a 2K guy, Estevan Florial, hitting leadoff. So he's awesome. Corbin Carroll, Mookie Betts. You have Alec Thomas as a good cheap guy on DraftKings. You have Rob Refsnyder as a good cheap guy on DraftKings. And I like the Padres guys a lot. I like Tatis quite a bit, especially on FanDuel, but really on both sites. You have for the Cubs, Pete Crow Armstrong at 2.4 on FanDuel, who's a good way to save money. You have DJ Stewart, who's a good way to save money. Ramon Laureano is a good cheap guy. So there's lots of stuff you can do tonight. And Jock Peterson.
Very good. We're going to get some QQs in just a moment. So if you've got some questions, get them in the YouTube chat, or even better, get them in our RotoGrinders Discord. That's where I'm going to start off taking some questions from. But we also want some home run calls. And I think we should begin with that. Squirrel, I'm going to put you on the spot. Maybe a couple names, somebody who's like common, and then somebody, a little sneaky.
I'll do Ronnie Mauricio with the Mets, and I'll do Austin Wells with the Yankees.
Are those both sneaky ones? Because that seems
they're both kind of sneaky ones.
Okay,
I mean, if you want a non-sneaky one, Aaron Judge.
Okay, that's fair. All right, Carty, you got a few names for me?
Yeah, Judge does project for the best chance tonight. In terms of like a sneakier guy, JD Martinez projects really well tonight. And then for betting purposes, our best odds go to Ha-Sung Kim for plus 1025 and Geraldo Perdomo for plus 2500.
Wow.
They're showing some pretty crazy value tonight.
Very good. Okay.
I was actually going to go with
got-
Ha-Seong Kim, and I forgot.
Oh, nice. There you go. We checked the name off anyways. All right. We have 17 minutes here until lock, roughly. So let's dive into some of these QQs and jumping into the RotoGrinders Discord. Luke Cage says, Squirrel, is Rodon broken? Red Sox stack? Question mark. DKGPP.
I think the answer is we don't know, and yeah, I think the Red Sox stack is good. I don't love Devers not being in the lineup for a couple of different reasons. Like it makes the lineup worse, and they could also have him go into pinch hit. Just because it's the second game of doubleheader. It's not like he's like banged up or anything like that. So they just said, oh, okay, we're in like a pivotal moment of the game facing a right-handed reliever or something. Let's put in Rafael Devers. So that could take somebody out of the Red Sox stack. So yeah, but I think it's a good tournament option, particularly because it might not be on people's minds because it's not on the Beatles list.
Gotcha. Okay. Let's see what else we have. Just real quick, Squirrel. Razzle Dazzle says, "Are the Mets going to burn us again tonight?"
Well, we don't know, but hopefully not.
Yeah. Okay. DKGPP from DerekCarty. I'm coming to you here. Machado Carroll or Tatis McMahon?
They're both really good. Tatis McMahon, but they're both good.
Okay, great. We want Dean, says Carty. Actually, he says, can you ask Carty what he thinks of top of Rangers lineup versus gutless Ryu, specifically Garver Simeon in a DK single entry? Also, happy Taco Tuesday. Okay, happy Taco Tuesday to you.
Happy Taco Tuesday. Yeah, I like Garver a lot. I think he's one of the better catcher plays tonight, reasonably priced. If you want to do a little mini stack with him, that's fine. I don't know why Ryu is gutless, but whatevs.
He's got no Hadouken. He's got nothing.
Not happy Taco Tuesday to Ryu apparently.
Nope. Chinatown says, hey, who's the second baseman Squirrel mentioned as being sexy or sneaky or cheap or something of the sort? And I don't know if this
probably
is
Mauricio.
Yeah. And then I don't know if there's a follow-up question. Does the Mets guy hitting sixth have some kind of power profile in the minors? There's no real stats on him at the major league level. Do we know who we're talking about?
Yeah, it's the same guy.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think he projects decently. So, yeah, I'd roll with, and he's cheap too.
Okay.
The Mets, are in a good spot. So
great. Okay, Carty, jumping over to you here from Yankee Man. He says thoughts on Edward Cabrera. Is that Eduardo? And DK single entry.
Yeah, it's Edward. I don't love it. You're not really getting any sort of discount on him, and it's not the best. It's not the best spot. Not a super long leash. I don't love it.
Okay. I don't know why I just gave him a cool Spanish name. It's just Edward, not Eduardo. All right, DKGPP Carty, back to you. Joe Ryan and Christian Walker or Verlander and Montero?
Verlander Montero is the better option. I think it'll probably be a little higher owned, but do with that what you will.
Yeah, that's fair. NBA DFS, FanDuel Cash. Squirrel, I am going to come to you on this one. Jock or DJ Stewart? Last piece.
I think DJ Stewart. Yeah, I'll go with DJ Stewart.
Okay. Ball says DK Cash. Squirrel, right back to you here. Last piece, Rafaelo or Crow Armstrong?
I think it's like Crow Armstrong's second game in the majors. I'm going to go with the Red Sox guy, assuming that's who he's talking about.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Let's see. Beaner says, Carty, I was late. FanDuel GPP. Actually, Squirrel, I'm coming to you here. I was late. Your favorite FanDuel GPP pitcher and stack. So if you were just making one, say, single entry GPP, where are you going pitcher and stack wise?
Ideally, I'd go with Joe Ryan at pitcher, and then probably Houston. San Diego is good as well.
Okay, great. Oh, I missed this question from ASAP Chargers. Sorry about that. Way to get it back here. Carty, which Cubs are the biggest pinch hit risk tonight?
Let me take a quick look at that. So Cubs, Not really a whole lot of pinch risk tonight. Pete Crow Armstrong, 11%. Everyone else is single digits.
Okay. Is Crow Armstrong his last name? Is Crow his middle name? What's happening with Pete
It's
Crow Armstrong?
hyphenated. I don't know. Maybe his parents' names were Crow and Armstrong. I'm not sure.
And they were both like, this name is too cool to give up. We need to do a hyphen. Yeah, they couldn't come to an agreement. All right, let's see. Any interest in Sandoval? Did we get to that one?
Yeah, I do. He's actually one of my pitchers. I think I'm probably highest over the field on is Patrick Sandoval. He's a little pricey, I think, on FanDuel. He's a like good value on DraftKings.
Wonderful. Okay. Flying Armbar says, "Are you guys light on Houston tonight on FanDuel?" Squirrel, I know that's one of your favorite teams, right?
Yeah, because like I said, they're my number one single entry stack. So I'd go with Houston.
Yeah. All right. Chris Alexander says, "Carty, is Morel a must play in FanDuel Cash?"
Yes.
Yep. There you go. Very easy. TJ says, "Roth, could you give a quick rundown of the good low cost pitchers tonight? Please help. Ask the open shirt guy." That's you, Carty. So you're and I didn't think you were really spending down. You didn't seem to love the cheaper options, but a quick rundown of the low cost pitching tonight.
On FanDuel it was, or in general?
It just in general, he didn't specify.
Okay. I mean, low cost pitching tonight really isn't great. On FanDuel, there's nothing low cost. Sean Manaea, Jose Butto, like those are your options, and they're not great. On DraftKings, you can save with Brian Wu, who I like quite a bit. And then after that, it falls off. You can take shots on guys like Rodon, Cutter Crawford, Sandoval, Manaea, but none of them are great.
Yeah. All right. Squirrel, over to you from Cheyenne. FanDuel GPP question. It is Bregman and Josh Lowe, or Lowe, I don't know which one, or McCormick Paredes.
Probably go Bregman, Lowe.
Great. Okay. FanDuel Cash outfield. Carty, back to you. Stewart or Walker?
Stewart or Walker? Who's Walker in the outfield? I don't know who that is.
Might be a Christian Walker, like utility question.
Yeah, maybe it's a
It's like utility with Christian Walker. It's Christian Walker.
Gotcha. Okay. John says, "Hey, Squirrel, no J-Rod love. Why not?"
Yeah, I'm just not as high relatively on Seattle as I am on some nights, just because I'm higher on Patrick Sandoval.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. In GPPs, Squirrel, Schneider or Morrill?
Morrill.
Okay. Jose Reyes says, "Carty, Stewart or Pham in cash?"
I like Pham more.
Very good. Stardog Champion says, "Carty, let's kind of reverse the earlier question I asked, which was your favorite cheap pitchers, and let's just go back to what pitchers do you like tonight?" Because some people still.
Verlander's the best. He's expensive and he's going to be the highest owned. After that, you have kind of a tier with Freddie Peralta, Joe Ryan, and Max Scherzer. I don't have a strong lean one way or the other. On FanDuel, it looks like Scherzer's going to be the lowest owned of them. So maybe you take a shot on Scherzer. I guess that's the case on DK2, but Joe Ryan is the cheapest. So, I think you probably just have a healthy mix of all of them.
Okay. John says, "Hey, is weather not a thing today?" Yes, it's mostly not a thing. I don't think a delay is likely enough in any game that you should do anything about it. There are a handful of games where there's a 5-10% chance, but you just eat those risks. Weather is mostly not a thing. Yes. Let's see where we're at. Jumping back into the RotoGrinders Discord where the cool kids are hanging out. We'll go to the Grinch, DKGPP, Squirrel, last piece, Sam Haggerty. I thought that was a rock star, Sam Haggerty, or Tyler. Say what?
I think he's hitting 8th for the Mariners. But,
okay.
yeah.
Or Tyler Soderstrom. P.S. I'm playing Verlander.
I'd go with Soderstrom.
Okay.
You have to choose between 2 8th hitters, but I'd go with Soderstrom.
Okay. Rocky Raccoon says, "Carty, Petey Crow Armstrong finally coming to the big boys. Yowza wowza, the epitome of a redneck name. You like it or no? Also, wasn't he in Backyard Baseball Game in like 02? No idea. We'll
It's
just
a lot to unpack there.
we'll simplify the question to: do you like Petey Crow Armstrong?
He's fine as a cheap guy.
There are some people who just never disappoint. Like, when you start reading their questions that it's going to get outrageous. And Rocky Raccoon is certainly one of those people, and we appreciate that. DK single out your GPP Squirrel. I'm stacking the Cubbies. Do you prefer Adam Raleigh, Moore, and Madrigal, or Urias, Rafaela, and Morrill?
Sorry, what was the 3 again? It was the 3v3?
Adam Raleigh, preferred add-on. I'm an idiot. Preferred add-on, but he put it in one word, but I got it. So basically, Raleigh, Moore, Madrigal, or Urias, Rafaela, Morrill.
I'd go with the first one because it's got Cal Riley. Because it's a Cubs stack, so I think you want to get a little bit different if you can.
Okay, very good. Where are we? All right, we're about 7 minutes here from lock. Adult Sim says, hey, I missed the pitcher conversation. My grandma called me about some biscuits. How do we feel about Woo? Squirrel, how do you feel about Woo?
So he's a much better play on DraftKings where you need 2 pitchers, and he's only 7,900 than on FanDuel where you only need 1 pitcher and he's 9,500. So in terms of the top pitchers, I've got him like fairly low down, but on DraftKings it doesn't matter because he's cheap enough that he makes a good SP2. Whereas on FanDuel he's like not good enough to be my SP1 for most of my lineups.
Okay.
Like overwhelming majority of my lineups.
Gotcha. I got to give a shout out to Dean. He says, just so it doesn't bother you the rest of the night, Roth, you were thinking of Sammy Hagar when I heard Sam Haggerty, and I was like, isn't that a rock star? Yes, I was indeed thinking of Sammy Hagar. So thank you, Dean. That was going to bug me the rest of the night. Okay, back to the QQs, guys. We got about 5-6 minutes here until lock. FanDuel Flex, Carty, Jock, or Mauricio?
Jock.
Does Crow Armstrong have high pinch hit risk? Carty, I think you said it was 12%.
Yeah, I think I said 11, so not
11.
super high.
Okay. King Raw says, DKGPP, Squirrel, DJ Stewart or Crow Armstrong straight up?
Stewart. I think there's some people asking my take on Verlander too. So just like to get that before lock. He projects about the same for me as like a handful of other pitchers like Freddie Peralta and Joe Ryan, because he's a little bit cheaper depending on the site that you're on. People are getting like more of him than Freddie Peralta, and I like Peralta better because it's like an optimizer thing, because it gives you an extra couple $100 to like fit in a better pitcher, and I think that's like a silly reason to have like way more of a pitcher. So like I'm not necessarily down on Verlander, I'm just under the field on him. Because I think optimizers are like getting to him too much because of the similar projection and the little bit cheaper price tag.
Very good. Okay, makes sense. FanDuel cash question, Carty. This is from our guy Aside. It's a 3v3. Walker, Suzuki, Soto, or Cody Bellinger, Jock Jams, and Kyle Raleigh?
The first one.
Very good. Carty, who is more likely to tank a DK cash lineup, Peralta or Verlander? Oh, this is kind of the debate we were just having.
I mean, neither guy's chance of tanking it is high. I'd say Peralta has a little bit bigger chance of tanking it, just because I think Verlander's better.
Yeah. Okay. Marble says, Carty, should we play Chris Bryant in FanDuel Cash? I don't think you mentioned him.
I didn't, but he's like 2.5 or something. He's hitting second. I think he's a really good play tonight.
Okay, great. FanDuel last piece, Squirrel from Jay West, 2,300 or less on FanDuel. I'm assuming it's the util, and he's already used Vientos.
2,300 or less. I gotta really scroll down here. Yeah, I just got to Vientos. So scrolling, try either Jace Peterson or Lawrence Butler with Oakland.
Great. Okay. We got 2 people in a row asking about the gutless Padres against Lynn. Carty, on FanDuel, do you like the Padres as a full stack over the Mets is one question. The other is just, do you like the Padres?
Yes and yes. It's so unfair that we come up with narratives about players and teams based on like arbitrary result. Oh, the Padres are so gutless. Like they're
It's
not.
fun.
They're getting unlucky.
Wasn't it like just like maybe a year or two ago, people were on you about your take on Fernando Tatis, that like you were not high enough on him. And he,
Yeah, I
had a
wasn't
pretty
high
rookie
enough
year.
on.
Yeah.
How's that
And now it's
Rangers
the
take
opposite.
feeling now, guys? And Blake Snell, is he doing okay this year?
Carty with the quick pivot. Carty's ready. Carty's ready with the receipts. Hey, we are quickly approaching lock. Let's take a few more QQs for the people. Make sure you hit us with a little thumbs up. We're working hard. Also, hey, did I mention, you know what? This is better than QQs. Did I mention that we've got NFL? We still have a deal going on here. Make sure you're signing up for the RotoGrinders subscription here. We're going to handle legwork. You can work less, win more, get access to everything we have to offer. Special discounted rate, only available to those without a RotoGrinders subscription. Full season-long subscription, $50 off, $375 total. The sale, I think, ends here in less than a week. So make sure you are getting in on that. Let's see, less than a minute. Favorite Dodgers bats? Squirrel, your favorite Dodgers bats?
It's always going to be Mookie Betts. Like Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman. It really depends on how much you have to spend. Let's see. Yeah, it's going to be like Mookie, Freddie, Max Muncy, JD Martinez, Will Smith. Depending on what position you're trying to fill.
Okay. MT Red Sox says, I love you, Carty, but the Padres are gutless. Gutless AF. I agree. That's the only explanation, is that they're gutless.
The argument that, sorry, do we have real questions or can I rant?
Yeah. One quick one, and then you can rant. A 5-man Boston stack is my most owned by far, Squirrel. What are your thoughts? Also got a couple like high-end one-offs on DK, or rather also a couple of your favorite high-end one-offs on DK.
Sure. So I think the Red Sox as a 5-man stack are absolutely in play. They're one of my highest owned stacks. For a few reasons. We don't know what's going on with Carlos Rodon. They're in Fenway. And I'd prefer they had Rafael Devers in the lineup, but I still think they're a good stack. In terms of like best high-end one-offs, by far, I think Aaron Judge, then Corbin Carroll, Jose Altuve, and Yordan Alvarez.
Okay, very good. Well, now we've hit the lock, Carty. Are you still angry enough to rant?
Not as much anymore. Basically, just about how people say you can't have a small sample size at this point in the year, which is just blatantly false. Like, it's just completely untrue. Over the course of any season, you're going to get a couple of teams that are at one end or the other of the distribution curve, and they got there randomly just by last year. It was the Mets. Last year, the Mets are so good. The Mets won 100 games. The Mets aren't getting lucky. And then they freaking collapsed this year with the same team because we got a bigger sample size and they weren't that good. Big surprise. Next year, the Padres, or over the rest of the season, are going to be incredible.
Yeah. I feel like your big call at the start of this year was on Mets under on their win total. You like from day one, you were basically like, everyone thinks the Mets are the greatest.
They got
team
lucky
in the
last
world.
year.
Yeah.
Which is the thing.
And so you nailed that. All right, time to end the show. This producer Steve's a Mets fan. Do you think that we will get a good betting total on the Padres, or because of their performance this year, that total will be lower and it'll be a good spot to take the over?
I mean, the market isn't stupid. Like they're going to get a high total next year, but it could still be too low.
Yeah. All right. Interesting.
There's like some free agency questions too. We don't know what's going to happen with the team when it kind of disappoints this much. Like there could be off-season movement.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, obviously pending all that.
Right. Okay. Poe DGen says, hey, great show. I got to go. Pizza is here. That's a good enough reason for me to leave as well. Pizza. I think for that, we're going to bounce. For Carter, for Squirrel, for our wonderful production crew, always working hard behind the scenes. Guys, we do appreciate you. We love you. And we will catch you tomorrow. You have been crushed.